But Jesus was a Jew.
How dare you? No.
All Jesus' values, all of them, were Jewish. He didn't invent something called Christianity. That was invented after his death, long after his death.
You have to understand something. We as Gentiles, Paul says in Romans 2, we become Jewish on the inside. God circumcises our hearts.
That's why Pope Pius XI said we are all of us Catholics are Semites, because we're descendants in the true sense of Abraham and Moses.
You believe a Jew created the universe?
Yeah, I do. Jesus Christ is the King of Kings, and he knew us before he formed us.
Okay.
But the Jews have also been God's chosen people. The mechanism by which you can say the moral law is transmitted to the world through the Jews.
The Torah gave humanity the 7 universal moral laws, principles of justice, dignity, and responsibility.
Our mandate as Jews was not to convert the world to Judaism. It was to bring an ethical, monotheistic standard to the world, which I believe Christianity and Islam, in their purest form, are a fulfillment of that prophecy.
Sure.
Israel needs to be cultivating ties with Christians in America. Christian Zionists are the last bastion of philo-Semitism in America.
Israel is a beacon of freedom. If it falls, we all fall. And the Jews, our spiritual fathers. Those who hate them hate us. And we will not tolerate their hatred.
You know, Catholics have to acknowledge this. This is not a white nationalist organization. It is a universal institution. And it just so happens that the state of planet Earth today, like it, love it, gotta have it, Cold Stone, whether you like it, don't like it, whether you hate it, it's a lot of poor brown people.
Yes, I have counseled, and I've officiated interracial marriages because it is biblically permissible.
On the right, some are now preaching neo-Nazism in the name of Christianity. Do they need to learn from Adolf Hitler himself, who said that National Socialism and Christianity cannot long live together? The plan was first the Jews, then to eradicate not the Christians, but Christianity. And there was good reason for it, because the Christian faith continues the morality, the ethics of Judaism.
We have a reality where there's a lot of fighting in the Middle East, and there's gonna go up and down in terms of wars. But listen, it's not going to be resolved. There won't be peace until Jesus returns. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, and there won't be ultimate peace in the Middle East without Jesus.
Just over 1 month ago, I stood here in Jerusalem with 1,000 pastors who came to visit in solidarity. And together we declared from this city a spiritual war on anti-Semitism, not as a metaphor, not as a slogan, but as a commitment backed by hundreds of millions of evangelicals, 700 million of us around the world.
The Bible says specifically, salvation is from the Jews. What does that mean? That means without the Jewish people, without the Jewish line, the Gentiles like me don't have a shot at salvation. The Bible says if they, the Jews, have blessed you, the Gentile, in spiritual things, the Bible, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, the patriarchs, then you, the Gentile, need to bless the Jew in actual things. Standing with Israel, standing with the Jewish people, combating anti-Semitism.
Damn. Fire new edit by See Through It All. Amalek, how good was that?
I absolutely love it. That's a good song too. I like that.
All new clips. The song, the clips,
yeah,
bangers.
We got to get, you said See Through It All made that, or was that John's one?
That was See Through It All. That's See Through It All like today.
We got to get See Through It All back on the blue check. We can't let him.
Oh wait, this is John. My bad. Oh shit, it is John.
Oh, yeah, it is John.
All right, awesome. John did it. Damn, I
do
thought
that
it
all
was
the time.
see-through it all.
You call see through it all me and me see through.
I
it all,
get
and
you
then
guys
call-
mixed up every time.
Yeah, it's so funny. When I was picking my new profile picture, I was tempted to make it a very similar one as see through it all, just to really drive it.
I made see-through it alls, actually.
That's funny.
I made it with AI way back. He's been using it forever.
That's funny. Well, thanks for having me on again. It's gonna be a fun one. Lots of fun stuff. That was a great edit. I like that. So I like that kind of music. It's crazy. I was just looking through my Twitter account, and that pinned tweet that I have that uses Empire of the Sun. That was a year ago I made that. And that's the kind of music I like to use for edits like that too, right? So it's cool. I like that stuff. It's good.
Total Christian destruction on these edits, and they just ignore them, block them, pretend they don't exist, and then steal parts of them and clip out all the parts that show Christianity for what it is. Man, they're so nefarious. But that was amazing. I love starting the show with these new edits, guys. They are incredible. Look at that, 50 likes. A banger like that, exposing the whole thing, 50 likes. Pathetic. And then they claim we're the PSYOP while all their kosher disinfo explodes to record numbers, as if that's not being allowed to happen. Our shit is more suppressed than ever. It's despicable.
Yeah, we gotta get that kind of stuff up on like, that's the stuff that needs to go on Instagram and things like that. That's also where like these Zoomers gotta step up too. I know see through it all's younger too, but we need something like some of the young guys are able to do some of these crazy edits that we see. We need that kind of stuff where it's like, I mean, it's not even content, right? It's like these schizo edit things, and it's like, but it also has like the same message. You got to get more people in on doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but this is kind of the way it goes when there's complete Judeo hegemony within like the alternative media sphere. The Abrahamic, Christian, Muslim, Jewish echo chamber. And now Joe Rogan, the #1 podcaster in the world, again, shilling Jesus with Andrew Wilson, no less.
It's crazy that he's on Joe Rogan.
Oh, but they're trying to ban the Bible. They're trying to destroy it, man. You really want to oppose the establishment, you listen to Joe Rogan and Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson.
It's just crazy to think that, what was his name? Fascist father or whatever? Fasci father from, oh my, I can't believe
Big Papa Fascist.
Oh, Big Papa. Yeah, that's what it is. Holy shit.
Yeah. Anyway, here's the See Through It All 6-minute edit of the little section of their podcast where they talk about Christianity. And Joe is shilling it. Think about it too. All the Ben Shapiro's, the Barry Weiss's on there, the whole like tech, Elon Musk, Bezos, Peter Thiel, the Weinstein brothers, like the Joe Rogan, Alex Jones alternative media network, the mainstream alternative media, and they're all shilling Jesus. Never a question of skepticism or criticism to Christianity. All right, let's watch a little bit of this.
Forget about some of the stuff that's in the Bible that, you know, it gets weird when you get old. Like, you go back into the old stuff because, like, for sure, human beings had some sort of an influence on what was written down and what wasn't written down. But you get just to the teachings of Christ, I can't find any faults in it. Like, it's all about being kind. It's all about this idea that we're all in this together and that you're supposed to lift each other up and look.
Actually, he's separating the wheat from the chaff.
After each
the
other.
chaff.
There's no faults in it. It's not.
No faults in the teachings of Jesus. Just bringing everybody together, except for the verse, of course, about came not to bring peace but a sword, and to divide families and nations. And does this guy even know the Bible? He's seen a meme. He read a postcard about a Jesus verse, and he thinks it's just, he hears everybody else saying how great it is. The Christians he knows are nice. Christians are nice to him, so he thinks it's perfect and there's no flaws in it. And his teachings are the greatest thing to ever grace the earth. Nobody could be nice. There's no morals. Nobody can be nice. Nobody can come together without Jesus. That's what top podcaster in the world, Joe Rogan, is saying now.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this earlier, but I just thought about this too. Part of the reason that like new atheism failed is because they basically accepted this as the presupposition. Their whole critique was built on what Joe Rogan just said. That essentially, oh, Jesus was just a cool guy and he taught you to just be a chill dude. And if everyone was just chill dudes, and the world would be just a chill place, and we both accept that. And that's kind of where the old atheism and new atheist or atheism plus or all, that whole thing came from, that concept, where that is the kind of novel approach that we have, where we absolutely are coming at it like without any hands tied behind our back at all. We accept and we understand that there's like the influence that Judaism plays and the whole thing, right? Like we're not pulling any punches, which is this is why it's authentic critique. You know what I mean?
Think how Jordan Peterson been on Rogan a million times and does the same thing too. Still like not really a believer, knows it's ridiculous, but still tries to shill it to everybody. That's why he got hired at Daily Wire. Or Lex Friedman too. Their close podcasting relationship. And it's interesting. You think Lex Friedman, secular Jew, where is he having any guest on that criticizes religion or says Jesus is obviously a fake in a Jewish midrash? Where is that? Where's the Carrier interview on Joe Rogan or Friedman or any big podcast? Guys, hey, e-Crusaders on the internet, if we're the psyop trying to keep you from heaven and following the true Messiah, then where are all the secular Jews in the world, talking about what we're talking about or promoting our stuff? It doesn't happen. They promote Jesus. All sides promote Jesus. Everybody's fighting on the Messiah and the right way to follow the Messiah. Joe Rogan's got his AI, Peter Thiel. It's just like Jesus' teachings, man. All the rest is a little bogus and written by man, but like its teachings are just like perfect, dude. Like love everybody. This is where we're at.
This idea that we're all in this together and that you're supposed to lift each other up and look after each other. There's no faults in it. It's not like you have to kill the non-believers. It's not like...
Oh, Christians famously known for never killing non-believers. What does Jesus say? If somebody causes the little ones to stumble, tie a millstone around their neck and drown them? Or bring them before me and I will slay them? Also... Dude, yeah, it's not like forced conversions or anything. Like, they've forced converted their way around the world. Oh, dude, it's just totally chill, man. It's just like go along to get along. I rub your back, you rub mine. It's just like a hippie Jesus, DMT Jesus, AI Jesus. Just like the perfect thing, dude. Come on.
Also, like the idea that like Jesus is just his sayings is a ridiculous concept. It's all attached to the story. You can't just take these like basically general sayings and say like, oh, that's the authentic thing and everything else was added in. If you understand how it was created and crafted, you'd understand it's like a layered cake and it's all baked in together and there's no removing one part without destroying any of the others. And you can't just say, oh yeah, it's just the cool sayings of Jesus and that's all that matters. No. You can't take it outside of the context of Mark and Matthew and Luke. You just can't. It's
right. Or he goes like, well, obviously, like a lot of it's fake, right? He's like, a lot of it's fake and hard to believe, but like the teachings, but like there are no teachings. The teachings of Jesus, the words of Jesus, are midrash scripture put into the mouth of Jesus. It literally says in Hebrews and other books, and then he says, and then Jesus says, and then just straight quotes verbatim from the Old Testament. The only way the first Jews believed they were reading ancient scriptures, and that was Jesus speaking to them through the prophet, to the apostles, through the Holy Spirit. And those were the words of Isaiah were actually the words of Jesus. And he fulfilled Isaiah 61 when he spoke them to the Jews in the synagogue. Midrash. Thanks, Morningstar. That's funny. All right.
Like you get to rape and pillage for the non-believers and the infidels must die. There's none of that.
That's why Christians believe in objective truth.
So just because it's not as bad as Islam, like it's perfect in his eyes. Just because it's not like spreading by the sword, although it did that. And it's like, oh, the teachings of Jesus. Yeah, but Jesus is the Jewish Messiah. His teachings are that he's the Jewish Messiah and the Son of Man who's meant to enslave the world according to the Jewish prophecies. Joe's selling as a great deal.
It must be objective truth, because otherwise why is most of the world following this as though it's objective truth? We seem to be leaning towards this.
Oh my God, it must be true because everybody follows it. Oh, that's not a fallacy. It's objective truth because it's so popular. Dude, well, I guess Islam's objective truth. I guess Judaism's last for 2,000 years. I guess that's objective truth. I guess communism's last a long time. A lot of people follow that. I guess it's been real popular. I guess that's objective truth. Come on, Andrew, that's so sloppy. Joe Rogan's an idiot.
So this must be the thing which is objectively real and objectively true, and a thing which we can point to that is. Because when people are introduced to it, like you just said, it's really hard and difficult to find fault in it. It's not just that. You know, it's interesting.
No, it's not, actually. It's not hard to find fault in it. It's about the Jewish God enslaving the Goyim. That's the fault in it. Do you see fault in it, Amalek? Where's the fault in Jesus? Teaches you to love your enemy. Is that a good teaching? Loving your enemy? Praying, turning the other cheek when somebody abuses you?
No, I mean, there's so many things wrong with it, and this is why I hate going into the moral argument though with these guys. Like, I think this is such a ridiculous way to argue. This is actually what Carrier is the opposite of. Carrier thinks that this is where we should be arguing with them, deconstructing this like moral bullshit.
Just for people to know too, I debated Andrew Wilson, and this is all we talked about: is even if it's not true, is it still better? It's just better. It's perfect. It's the best program.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is ridiculous. I think that. First of all, if you just study the text and like the scholarship around it, it's obviously fake, and that's where it should be started. Like that's where this is where the battle should be held, because you can completely remove all of this gish galloping and all this ridiculous like flowery language and all this other thing. You can just go right to historical sources and what they meant and all that other stuff, and you can deconstruct it that way. So that I just disagree with like Carrier and others that think that fighting in this battleground here is even worth it. This stuff is stupid. You obviously, anybody can write a text. The whole thing is man-made and man-written, and saying, oh, well, that is objective truth and therefore blah, 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 blah. The whole thing is, it's a ridiculous argument that only works.
They're saying a Jewish fiction is objective truth too. If you boil it down to the very basic level, they're saying Jewish prophecies, Jewish God, Jewish view of God, that's objective truth. That's really what they're saying.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's so ridiculous because it's all written by men, and it's all obviously, like, I mean, you and I both know this, a hugely flawed document with massive contradictions, massive issues, massive translation issues, huge disagreements within the text, within a gospel. There's disagreements, right? Like there's so like not just the gospels between themselves are different, but within their own gospels. So this idea that can be objective truth, something that is not within itself, like, conducive to like logic within its own text, like that's just ridiculous. Makes no sense.
All right, let's hear more for Joe. It gets worse.
If we say, what could I do that actually would be the best for me, it would still be that.
Yeah.
Which is the funniest part of the whole thing. It's like both ways it works for you, even if it's not all about you, or it works for you even if it is all about you. It's still going to be the better message out of the two.
It's definitely a better framework for living your life. And
first of all, we could take, without the magic fairy tales, we could take any good part of Christianity and incorporate that into a secular framework also. So the idea that it's objective truth and it's the Bible and it's Jesus.
A lot of people that just reject that think of themselves as intelligent. They think of themselves as intelligent and well-read and educated.
I'm too smart for that.
Yeah, I'm too smart for that.
I'm too smart for all that.
I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
Any atheist needs to take 8 grams a month.
Too smart. Adults know talking snakes and talking donkeys, believing these are literal histories, walking on water. Who wants to say like, oh, the Old Testament sounds a little wonky, but the New Testament's just as crazy. Just as improbable and impossible.
Dude,
these people in their books and their arguments, they think they're so smart that like they just gotta believe in hippie Jesus, man. It's the best way, dude. Just believe in the teachings of the King of the Jews, dude.
Did a little
DMT. The reason they're even able to do this is because of the way Christianity basically acted like like the same way Islam does, where it just destroys all other ideologies around it. It viewed they viewed not just paganism back in the day, but just philosophy, like secularized philosophy, like stoicism and other ideas like that. They believed that kind of stuff was against God and destroyed it. So then we just fast forward to today, and then they're like, oh, well, there's nothing else that could ever work except for our objective truth ideology, and it's because they destroyed all the foundations of everything. And what they did is, while they destroyed it, they like sucked up those parts into themselves. And Judaize them.
$5. Adam, have you been to the Western Wall? Too many small hats.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to wear a small hat if you go on there.
Onyx Rock sent $5. The last Clockwork Elf I met handed me a luminous icon bra.
I bet.
And don't. Oh, there it is.
Hitting the moonshine. Just joking. No moonshine. You mean my coffee? Or them?
Boleslav sent $15. Do you guys actually know good moral arguments against Christianity?
Yeah. I don't think it's moral to turn the other cheek when somebody hits you. I think that's against the law of nature.
There's a bunch of that stuff. I just think that's like the wrong battleground to fight in.
Yeah.
I just think
fighting over if you believe in a Jewish Messiah with your own family and your own people, that's also immoral.
Worse than the Christian Crusader ethic, which was almost pagan in its worship of glory and war. Christ's teachings were pacifistic and denies biological tribalism. That's what makes them immoral.
Yeah. It's not all bad. I'm not saying it's all bad. But it's definitely not perfect and objective truth and the only possible thing that we could use and have a functioning society. And, the Muslims make this same exact argument, too, for Islam. And like you were saying, too, they go like, oh, it's functioned. Like, we have society because of it. It built it. If Christianity never existed, we would still have shit. It may have been way better. You don't know, because Christianity wouldn't allow anything else. It spread and dominated and spread the Torah and the God of Israel and the belief in Jewish Messiah prophecies around the world. It was the only game in town. Okay, let's go.
DMT, and you're like, oh, I don't know anything. You think you know things. You don't know a fucking thing. You just know what you've experienced. And
so now he says, take DMT, take drugs, and you understand you don't understand anything. So Jesus real? So Jewish book real? Really? Is that what we're doing?
I think that the world is better off if people have a great moral and ethical framework. I think morals and ethics and being kind is one of the most important values that human beings can ever possess if you want to live in a productive and healthy community.
Completely agree.
Does he think there's no communities outside of Christianity? Nobody loves each other. There's no communities. There's no kindness. You can't be kind without Jesus. Is that what he thinks? Christians are always kind too, of course. Any Christian that's not kind isn't a real Christian, but there's a lot of real Christians that need a lot of forgiveness, right?
Also, like the idea that Joe Rogan's going to any church and or anywhere in the world and people are not being kind to him is also laughable. Like Joe Rogan, like everyone, like everywhere you go, everyone like worships your feet. Like, shut up. Yeah. Like the idea that you're having like a similar view as anybody else, that like a normal person that would go around or go to church is like ridiculous.
He goes to some mega church there in Austin and they're all treat him like a god and are so happy he's there, and he's like, they're just so kind, they're so nice.
Yeah, these are just nice people. They have no ulterior motives at all. Like what? Okay, he's a dupe.
Yeah, hearing how nice and perfect Christians are, where I've been dealing with Christians for years who are evil, psychotic, like possessed, unhinged lunatics, is really ripe.
And I think that kindness.
Speaking of how so kind and nice, what did Andrew say in the debate with Christian Whistleblower? He's like, oh yeah, we'll shoot pagans in the back the first chance we get. Sounds like everybody coming together and looking out for each other and loving each other, right? Unless you're an antichrist satanic demon, then they'll burn you at the stake. Yeah, I don't trust nice people. Yeah. Churches are full of like former drug addicts and criminals and gullible people desperate for forgiveness for bad shit they've done.
Yeah, and we're all like full up on like the Leave It to Beaver nicety. Like we don't actually need that anymore. Like hold please, we don't need that in our society. Our whole society is run by like a bureaucratic state run by that type of archetype. Okay.
Right. Do we need white people just to be nicer? Is that our issue? Everybody needs to just be nicer to everybody, right? That'll save the situation.
Like the whole left is based on this idea of like everyone just be nicer to each other. Like the entire our whole entire society is saturated with just being nice to each other, and I'm sick of it. It's so stupid.
I mean there is benefits in being nice and getting along and not always
but
fighting about everything when you don't have to.
We're nice maxing, and I'm over it.
Yeah. Just to frame it to like the hardcore Christian nationalists, be like, you just need to be nicer, okay? We need it because you need to be nicer, guys. Nick Fuentes, be a little nicer, right? That kind of thing.
I make a delineation between kindness and niceness, because I think it's often kind not to be nice.
Right.
But I do think that you can be nice and it may not be kind.
Right.
And so
that's true.
So I make a delineation between those things. I don't think that kindness.
So Andrew, like telling all these OnlyFans girls that they're whores and stuff is actually being nice. In a way, I can kind of see that. Somebody needs to tell them instead of being praised and worshipped and everything.
This though has much variance. Kindness is looking after the interest of somebody who's not me.
And it makes everybody.
By the way, hold on real quick. Notice how he like his definition of kindness and niceness is so arbitrary. It's basically like up to his personal whims, like that. How he defines that at any given moment of, I'm not being mean or rude. I'm being kind right now because I'm being tough love or whatever. So, and then he sits there and leans back on objective truth. It's a clear Martin Bailey what he's doing. You have no objective truth. It's completely subjective to you, Andrew Wilson. It is not something that is, the book gives me a reason to be, here's the line, the border where kindness becomes too mean. Like they all run on subjective truth while masquerading it as objective truth.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Selfish.
It's so
because it makes you feel good too.
Yeah, there is something.
You can look at it that way.
Sure. From the position of trying to convince the unbeliever, right? Appealing to their self-interest may not be the worst idea.
Right.
Appealing to has the lack of community and let's just assume for a second.
Evolution built in altruism, especially in our advanced brains, where we feel good when we do something nice for somebody else. It's the selfish gene. Even doing something for somebody else gives you a reward. A lot of Christians actually get addicted to Jesus and addicted to giving and always taking care of everybody. And that's what they get off on. That's their drug, is helping others, actually. It feels good to help others in need, right? You feel good about yourself. You feel like you're a good person. You feel like you did the right thing. But that's built into people. You don't get that from Christianity. That exists outside of Christianity, before Christianity. They're just trying to take everything good in the world and claim it ownership as exclusively theirs. That's what they're doing here.
Yeah, it's tying like normal ideas and normal biology and normal understandings into messianic apocalyptic Judaism. That's literally what it's doing, just straight up. It pulls, it's like a black hole that pulls any concept or anything like that into apocalyptic Judaism that just so happens to line up with the fall of Rome and conquering the nations and all this other shit. Big whoopsie daisies.
Let's assume it's all bullshit and it's all nonsense. Every bit of it is just totally made up. We just made it up, right? But we all acted as though it was true. If it's the case that your whole framework is that we just want a society that really works well and does the best it can possibly do for everyone, then
who is to say that Christianity in America, in our society, is the best we could possibly do? We haven't. How many other frameworks, philosophies, religions has humanity tried to build upon in the last 2,000 years? None, because they weren't allowed to, because the church dominated. This is such a bad argument. It's like you can't say it's the best possible way when it's like the only one that we've been allowed to. It's the only experiment that we've been trying for so long. And we advanced and got way better once we had the Enlightenment and went back to paganism stuff.
And then you look at things that actually were attempted to be like secularized versions or experiments, and those weren't perfect either. Like I'll definitely, if you look back at the French Revolution, there was obvious problems with that. But those problems were born out of like infancy and basically like the lower it was basically because they had to start that from scratch. You know what I mean? They had to like there was issues with how that worked out. But also like this whole
They're
idea
framing Christian history as perfect, by the way, too, is what it sounds like to me. It's just been flawless and perfect and objectively true.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is that they do it with America, where they'll say, "Oh, America was founded as a Christian nation," when it was explicitly not. Like that was what we were trying to get away from. So even when something does get started secularized or non-Christian or however you would describe it, they then retcon things to make it so that look, it was us all along. It's because of us, because of our values, that the United States ever succeeded. So even when it's not them, they just retcon everything, which is, by the way, like doing that concept, like that is like extremely just Jewish. Like that's that's like their concept of history, right? Like the winner writes history, and that's what they do.
Shouldn't you, by your own framework, just pretend it's true?
Right. Yeah.
Shouldn't you just act as though it's true? Anyway?
Yeah, we should all lie.
By the way,
he's go in on the big lie with everybody. What?
Any Christian who brings this up vocally on like not just Joe Rogan, but just like in conversation, they're just revealing to you what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. So this was the first thing I asked him when he debated him, because he says the exact same line to me. Is I go, even if you knew Christianity wasn't true, would you still promote it? And he was like, "Oh, well, under what framework?" But basically, he said yes.
Which makes sense. It does make sense. Like I get it, but then can we argue over that area then instead of retreating back to anything else? Like okay, like let's just do that. Okay, let's accept that the best.
So the noble lie is more popular than the bitter truth.
Yeah, but can we then at least like debate over like the pros and cons of that noble lie then? But he won't do that, right? He won't do that. He won't honestly look at that issue, because what we're saying is that even if we grant them all those positives, the negatives are way too bad.
Final judgment and Armageddon must be gradually replaced by literally anything else.
Yeah, like how is Andrew saying Christianity is the best system when it's led to Christian Zionism in America dominating? Does that seem best system? Oh, well, it just went wrong. Well, I guess it wasn't the best. It wasn't objective truth and flawless and the best and only possible thing.
Yeah, and then they're all, I mean, he's Russian Orthodox, right? So it's like, okay, so you're Russian Orthodox, and what's Russia doing? I mean, their abortion rates and all their issues are just as bad over there, or worse than they are over here. They're building mosques in Moscow. You know what I mean? Like they're having their own issues over there too. So it's not like they're, well, look, there's a perfect society right over there that's using true Christianity. That's what he's doing, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they were true Christianity with the Tsar, but they weren't protected from the Bolshevik Revolution taking over and killing so many.
Not just that, the reason that the Bolshevik Revolution was so successful was because basically like the proto version of the Q-Tard conspiracy, basically all the whites, the white faction, and all the counter-revolutionaries like the right wing and the Tsarists, all those types of factions in the Russian Revolution, they basically all believe that, the generals are really in charge, trust the plan, all this other stuff. It was basically like a Christian or like a secular version of the Christian trust the plan thing, and that's why they got beat so badly by the Bolsheviks.
You're right. I've heard that before too. Like everybody was convinced that they were like really winning and that the Bolsheviks weren't a threat and the Patriots were in control, and then they lost.
Millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people way more supported the whites than the Bolsheviks. But what happened was the what I would call like the counter revolution,
Operation Trust, right? That's from the
So what I would say is like Christianity is like a civilizational version of that, and we can just look at even modern versions where Andrew Wilson's an Orthodox Christian, so we can see like how did Orthodox Christianity deal with that. Well, it got wrecked. You know what I mean? So, even under their ideas, like they're still wrong. They will never argue in this like arena on this.
Perfect system. Perfect system. That's why there's such a long history of all these Christian countries fighting wars against each other. But then you know what they do? And anytime you point out a flaw, they'll be like, "Well, that's not Orthodox. That's not a true Christian. That's a heresy. That's a this. That's a that." They'll always do the no true Scotsman. So Christianity can never be criticized as
solution? Which our solution is to just like take the good things about what we're talking about and go our own way with those particular like positive things and discard all of the negatives. Like it's not that hard. You can just do that. You can just snap your fingers and do that.
Right.
Believing in God, that if you act as if God is real, you will have a better life. Like it works. It really does work.
Almost like a universal truth.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. It's fascinating that people that are self-professed.
Dude, you could be a Muslim and have a happy Muslim and have a better life and turn your life around because of Allah. Does that mean it's an objective truth? Something working for somebody, something improving somebody, does that make it objective truth? Does that mean the stories in the Bible are true? It means Jesus is really born of a virgin because believing in something made your life a little better. It's just such a crazy leap of logic to get from that to that.
Atheists and people that think of themselves as too.
Yo, John, thank you.
$50 was lying in my deathbed for over a month due to some serious flu. Relapsed 2 times, plus the weather in Lithuania is constantly minus 15 Celsius. Now I have improved heavily and am back with fury to tear down Jew worship.
Awesome.
Gonna cook these mixes every week.
Dude, that mix was so good. So I feel bad crediting See-Through It All, although I'm sure lots of the clips had his watermark on them. But yeah, that was epic. Loved it. Can't wait for all the clips. As you know, I play them at the beginning of the shows all the time. They're powerful.
Intelligent for religion.
And I'm glad you're better, dude. Yeah, the flu's a nasty thing, serious thing.
Won't acknowledge that. They don't want to believe that. And so many of them that I know that are self-professed atheists are some of the most miserable people.
No miserable Christians, no degenerate, awful, suicidal Christians.
We're miserable because we have to deal in a world with you idiots. That's why we're all miserable.
Yeah, that's what makes me miserable.
We feel like we're aliens in our own world. We feel like
dude, there's no happy non-Christians out there. Everybody without Jesus is just like a depressed, bad person. Like that's what he's saying right now. This is so stupid.
Specifics. The reason that we're not grumpy in general, we're grumpy at you guys in particular.
Dude, the Jesus Shilling is off the charts with Rogan, dude. I've been documenting this unfold. The old Rogan just knew it was stupid and called him Zombie Jesus. Now, since it's the new big thing, or that's what the grift he wants to get on, that's the club he wants to be in, he's parroting all the rhetoric.
Yeah, I just looked up the Russian Revolution numbers, by the way, and it was at its peak, the revolution was able to field 5 million troops, but was mostly around 1.5 to 2 million. And the entire rest of the country was 170 million, with 130 to 140 million of those having sympathies with the counter-revolution. So it's basically a story of how like a handful of million overthrew the government because Christianity like had lulled everybody in the country to sleep, basically. That's what happened in the Russian Revolution. The numbers were
they were praying and the prayers weren't answered. So
yeah, they were trusting the plan and all that other stuff. Yeah.
People, they're very depressed. A lot of them are on psychiatric medications. A lot of them are in therapy. A lot of them are really fucked up.
They're almost.
It's funny how the Christians that called into Christian what was it called? Christian radio, CQ radio. They would all call in drunk all the time. All the alcoholic Christians, right? Oh, atheists, dude.
Every Friday and Saturday.
This is such bullshit. He's such a propagandist too. Where's the Christopher Hitchens of our time to go on Joe Rogan and criticize how stupid all these religious things are? It does no platform. Where is any big influencer or mainstream media who's willing to promote anyone who is critical, who's harshly critical against religion? It doesn't exist.
Not just that, but if they hated Christianity so much, then where's the Jew doing it?
Right. Does this when all the top influencers in the world are shilling Jesus and all the Zionists are shilling Jesus and all the Israel critics are shilling Jesus, and then they turn around and tell us, oh, they're trying to destroy Christianity. Like, what world are you living in?
Yeah, where's the Barry Weiss going on Joe Rogan to debunk Christianity? Oh, never mind. We just have Andrew Wilson showing that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the real one.
Yeah, and Wes Huff and a bunch of others. All Christians. I haven't seen one clip of anybody saying Jesus is fake Or at the very minimum, somebody saying, okay, he probably existed, but everything about him is not real, and this is clearly not real, and it's a messianic cult that dominates the world. Nowhere. Nobody will state that obvious. That is the real third rail. That is the real taboo. The biggest conspiracy of all time, and nobody's questioning it.
And they,
Crazy
and
pills.
these same people, the other thing too is Joe Rogan and all these people are all obsessed with the concept of like ideological capture or industry capture. You know, they talked about it with the COVID vaccine. They have the idea of industry capture with oil and capturing our government and big pharma and all these other things. Like this is something that they completely understand. And what they don't seem to get, or what they don't understand, is that the most ideologically captured institution in the world is studying of the Bible, Christianity, and Judaism and Islam, the Quran. All three of the Abrahamic religions have an absolute like medieval style death grip on the scholarship around their sacred texts still to this day. It was better before World War II, but since World War II, they have basically put like a national security death grip around this stuff. And the industry capture in the biblical scholarship field is worse than any big pharma or any of the other things that they understand.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're not exposing any of that.
Huge scandal there. Nobody's talking about it. They all just cite it and go, consensus says.
Just a number one Pauline scholar just happens to think that Paul didn't exist all of a sudden with a complete book about it, pushing the date of the Pauline letters back 100 years, and no one's talking about that.
Where's her Joe Rogan? Where's her big podcast interviews?
Where's Nina Lisley talking about Paul being not true?
Yeah. He brings on every other kook.
Every debate she's done, I don't even agree with her. I'm not sold on it yet, but every debate I've watched of her, she destroys every single expert. She's the person on Paul, but no one talks about that kind of stuff. No, they don't care about the scholarship stuff. They don't care because they know that it's like not helpful to their aims, I guess.
Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't had Bart Ehrman on to just say Jesus. We know for a fact Jesus is real.
I would like that, to be honest. I would prefer that. It would be easy, right? It'd be a nice one. It'd be cool.
Be
to watch
better for us,
that.
Yeah.
First. Almost seems like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the thing that's interesting is like I've talked with a lot of atheists, debated with a lot of atheists, especially on the effects of Christianity in society against the effects of atheism. And I know what pure secular states have led to. That's what communism was. That was a purely secular state.
Yes.
Where you really
communism happened because you guys.
Hold on. Couldn't we have capitalism without Jesus? Who's to say that believing in a magical book in the Jewish Messiah has anything to do with some like how the financial system or the economy is set up or political, political things? Like, is everybody that's not a Christian a communist? No. So again,
the reason
so many
took over was
flaws in
because
all
of
this.
Christianity. Like, I don't understand how they just don't understand. They don't see this.
They talk a lot about how communism is a spin-off of Christianity.
Communism. The Orthodox are useless allies. The Catholics, however, put up a fight in Spain, and McCarthy put up a fight here. Anyone anti-communism is friend.
Yeah, many have spoken on the parallels between communism and Christianity. Like the first Christians live in communes, basically.
I mean, this is the crafters of communism. Engels wrote a book on early Christianity where he explicitly says that the communism is like a return to the commune Pauline type of Christianity. So the creators of communism understood it this way. This isn't new. They saw it as like a true fulfillment.
The biggest commies are Christians. Yeah, like former Christians or reformed Christians. It's like the slave morality, the morality that comes from Christianity leads to, if people don't believe, some of them do end up being communists. But that doesn't mean that if you don't believe in magic book, it's always going to be a communist state. That's not what it means. All right, here we go.
From the state. But here we pretend that it's secular and they get all the benefits of it being, quote, secular, but it's not secular at all.
Right.
Politicians are constantly voted in based on the fact that they have an X amount of value structure, and that's what they're going to implement legislatively on you. The whole secular thing, totally made up. It's and them pretending that that's even real or has ever existed as a real framework in the United States, just nonsense.
Not only that, but
never been a secular nation. It's always been a Christian nation because Christians have been electing Christian politicians. Fair enough. I would say the same thing pretty much. It's always been a Christian nation in that sense, right?
Yeah, sure, but I don't think any of them were. This is the big thing: is none of these guys weren't like motivated by their Christianity. They weren't like citing, "Oh, in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus."
They're
says
influenced, though. You can't deny they were influenced by it.
Yeah, but
the crafters and the founders were also well read, and they were inspired by pagan stuff in Rome and Greece.
Yeah, they're taking like a holistic view of all that type of stuff to create what we had. It wasn't like just study. It wasn't like they crafted our systems based solely on the Bible. Like I don't know, it was intentionally done. It was intentionally done to get away from that. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to
And
describe
if he's always saying America hasn't been a secular state, that's dumb, and it's been Christians in charge. And now you're saying that it's like the perfect system. You think America's history is perfect? An objective, it's so perfectly the best system that it's objective truth also. Like these are just huge claims and jumps.
And he's an Orthodox Christian. Fuck off. Like what the hell are you talking about? Your Christianity has no bearing on our like history.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what he'll say.
Catholicism
He'll be
has
like, well, they're not Orthodox, so that's why it's not totally perfect.
Right. Exactly, right? Like, oh, America should have just been Orthodox from the start then, or some LARPy stupid shit.
Yeah.
But I think there is a natural default in the human mind to be attracted to a structure. And if that structure is a Christian structure, you're attracted to all the Christian values that we've just discussed being so positive and beneficial to you. But if you're not, and you go to a leftist progressive structure, leftists in particular, like a Marxist structure, what you're seeing is a complete lack of forgiveness. They don't have that built into the system. One of the beautiful things about Christianity is forgiveness.
Hold on, no forgiveness in Marxism? Is that what he's saying? Don't all these communists are all about forgiving the criminals and letting them out of jail all the time?
Yeah,
is that even true? Is this premise true that leftists aren't forgiving? Nobody would forgive without Jesus? Forgive black crime? Forgive illegal immigrants? Feels like they do more forgiving. Just because Erica Kirk gets up on the stage and says, I forgive the shooter. They always forgive the shooters when the blacks kill their kids, right? That's what the Christians forgive. That's turning out great.
Well, it's like what communism is based off of is like a very hierarchical structure where like but it's a reverse hierarchy. So it's the first will be last and last will be first. So to them, the structure is, and the whole forgiving thing is, well, are you part of their like marginalized group, and then you can forgive? What's his name? The guy, the Olympic guy who.
Yeah, dude, we just gotta. If we're all about forgiving, bro. That's why Andrew Wilson goes on these podcasts and talks to baptized OnlyFans girls, right? And just goes and forgives them for all of their sins, right? That's what it's all about.
Remember, Bruce Jenner hit someone with his car, right? And then he becomes trans, and now everything's okay. And
no, he was trans before that. I think he was trans before that. I think.
Right, but what I'm saying is those people that disliked him before that, when he became trans, like they forgave him because he's trans. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so like
yeah.
The forgiveness in communism or leftism, however you want to view it, it's still like it's still there. It's just hidden behind this level of hierarchy, where it's like depending on where you are in that stupid hierarchy of theirs, that's how much forgiveness you get.
Yeah, in a way, I guess like Andrew Wilson has become the arbiter of forgiveness for OnlyFans girls. He decides he tries to get them to come to Jesus and bring forgiveness and be born again as Orthodox trad wives from the OnlyFans community. That's funny. That's funny, Andrew. If you see this, that's a good one. You got to admit.
Built into the system. One of the beautiful things about
he's the saint. He's the OnlyFans saint, Saint Andrew, the saver of whores.
Forgiveness.
Okay.
And the recognition that we're all sinners and we all fuck up and we're all human and we're all flawed, and that you could move on and be better, and you can atone for these sins, and you could recognize that yes, you've made a mistake, but here's the best way to move forward and be a better person, society at whole recognizes that you are me and I am you, and we're all kind of the same thing. We all fuck up, and we're all just human beings. But there's a pathway. It's a pathway to forgiveness.
Dude, the Yom Kippur sacrifice and the magic blood is the pathway to forgive yourself for all the shitty things you've ever done, to get over your guilt for being a shitty person, because like Christians are so nice and kind.
What's funny too is the way that Andrew got popular was with the Whatever podcast. That podcast
Forget about
that has
some
all
of
the
the stuff.
OnlyFans chicks on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Daily Wire just acquired them. So that whole thing is literally like Daily Wire, I guess.
He's a Christian bro too.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's all in the same sphere, right? So it makes sense that they bought them. But yeah, so just more, our greatest allies buying up ways to like demoralize men into thinking that all girls there in their dating bracket are OnlyFans whores or something.
Yeah, Michael Knowles went on there and did the thing. And has Andrew been on Daily Wire with Michael Knowles? Maybe, I'm not sure that he has.
Maybe,
but he got on every platform basically besides that in this side of the internet. Okay, this is old Rogan arguing with Milo.
If you say you're Christian and you want to be on that team, you got to kind of say it.
You can aspire to be better than you are.
Aspire to be better than you are doesn't mean you believe in Jewish zombies.
Yes. See, that's what I'm saying. He knows.
I'm not going to win this one.
Well, of course you're not. This one's ridiculous. This one's ridiculous. You're talking about shit written on.
This is before Rogan got the call, guys. This is his real opinions before he got the Jesus call. He got the call on the Jesus question.
Animal skins by people who thought the world was flat and the sun was 17 miles away. And you're like, oh yeah, that's going to make you a better person. It's totally, they found it in clay pots in Qumran. Yeah, they unscrolled, they had to do DNA tests to find out which piece of fucking yak ass this piece was written on.
I feel sorry for people who have a sort of bleak, empty existence of militant
that's
atheism.
Not bleak or empty.
It's just so boring.
No, a lack of belief in nonsense.
Oh, you're a nihilist if you don't believe in the magical Jewish stories. You're a nihilist.
Terrible way to look at the world.
A lack of belief in nonsense is not bleak. What other ridiculous shit do I believe? That's akin to Jewish zombies or guys who turn wine and
stop it.
out of water.
You know what? There's nothing more depressing than seeing somebody.
Right, Jack. They still think the Earth is flat because of Jesus.
Who you admire, who's obviously smart and clever,
who won't
and
buy into old fairy tales.
No, to speak so disparagingly about such a complex and fascinating part of who we are.
You're
now,
right.
Look at. You should be less flippant and dismissive about religion because you are too smart to be that much of a cunt about religion.
No, I'm flippant and dismissive about it because I can't believe it's still here.
You are far too smart. You are far too intelligent and individual to treat religion with the amount of contempt you do. This is what assholes do. This is
not what assholes
mediocre.
Now he wants to be another one podcaster. He's got huge $100 million deals, and now it's all Christian guests, shilling for Jesus, complete heel turn on Rogan. It's like, oh, imagine all the Christian hate and comments saying, I'm never watching again, Joe. I'm a Christian and you blaspheme my God. You mocked me. And then it's now like, it's just so obvious. They're pandering to the masses of gullible goyim sheep that believe in Jewish fairy tales. That's what he's doing now. And they're all doing it. All these guys, Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson, even who was the big one that just did it? Oh man, it'll come to me.
Scott Adams.
Scott Adams.
It
was another one too, another different influence. Every right-wing influencer, even the ones that weren't Christian, they all see the light and come to Jesus. And Tripoli, we just covered how Tripoli was doing it the other day too. All of them on the Jesus train. The internet and conspiracy culture and conspiratainment is a pipeline of satanic conspiracies leading you, scaring you into Jesus, the King of the Jews.
intelligence,
is
militant
exactly what you
atheists
accuse
do.
feminists of doing.
No, it's
You're
not.
distorting the argument. The reality is we're talking about myths, and we're talking about people
I'm
that believe
saying-
those myths so much that they won't let people get married because it goes against their myth.
I'm saying that
Right?
you can disagree with them.
Isn't that what happened?
That's his problem. See, that's the problem with Joe.
What is essential importance?
The problem is it doesn't recognize a man having marrying a man. That's the problem. See, it's like this explains some of the problem.
It got us through barbaric days with rules where we worried about the.
Okay, I think that's enough. We've seen enough. Here's his AI Jesus he's talking about too. Here's your Peter Thiel, Joe Rogan Jesus.
Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past,
was not.
You don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my
With
God.
artificial intelligence.
Oh, dude, it's God. God can do anything, man. Of course he could. Dude, God can do anything. If it's magic, he can do anything. All is possible if you believe.
It's Jesus.
They're gonna have like AI Jesus in their pockets, like on their phones.
Oh yeah,
Just
we already
straight
do. You can train an AI to be Jesus already.
As Jesus with all the powers of Jesus.
If you combine
right.
Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
It reads your mind. And
Put a long hair, put a beard and long hair on him, and you got Jesus walking around that knows every word of the Bible and is programmed to be Jesus. We're gonna have humanoid robot Jesuses.
Loves you.
And these e-crusaders are gonna buy him, and they're gonna be their masturbation machines. They're gonna be masturbated by Jesus, by the Tesla Jesus masturbation machine Jesuses. Okay, this is a throwback to a stream a couple times ago. It's a callback. It's really funny.
And it wants you.
To me.
It doesn't care if you kill it because it's going to just go be with God again. Jesus was born out of a virgin mother.
Dude, really high level stuff, bro. Do you like my podcast? It's inside a spaceship, bro. We're gonna go meet the reptilian, Nephilim, Babylonian, occult, not Nazi demons, bro. Clockwork elves take DMT. Okay, last one on Rogan. Of course, we go a whole hour on Rogan. I have so many tabs to cover, but whatever. Wes Huff reviewing Rogan and a guest talking about Jesus existing. Let's see here.
Documents that show he existed, and then there's a bunch of documentaries that you can watch. So like, boy, the evidence is kind of sketchy.
Gospels that are written about Jesus were written after, right? Not during.
And how long after his death?
Well, I think the first one was like 100 years. You know, Gospels
No.
were not written
Wrong.
by anyone who had seen Jesus in that way.
Right.
Even though they were the versions like of when you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are the versions that they were told. So I don't know, maybe 100 years?
Historical data concerning Jesus of Nazareth is certain. The evidence is not sketchy.
Certain. Wrong. This is such a lie. Certain. Dogma. Cannot question. Certain.
Theologian and Nobel Prize winner Albert Schweitzer stated that it must be admitted that there are few characters of antiquity about whom we possess so much historical information. Even radical skeptics like Bart.
It's no original. Even Bart Ehrman. Radical skeptics. Come on, dude. Radicals. The dude was such a Christian. He went to all higher level Christian schools to be a pastor. Super skeptic. Even this other.
Bart Ehrman, in his book, Did Jesus Exist?, states that the claim that Jesus was simply made up falters on every historical ground. Joe might be convinced by online documentaries, but anyone actively working and teaching in the fields of historiography, antiquity studies, classics, biblical studies, textual criticism, or any other related field aren't.
Yeah.
The reason for this
All the
is
Christians.
that if we were to cast doubt on the historical Jesus, then based on the primary records we have, we would have to cast doubt even more on the existence of any other figure from the ancient world.
Wrong.
Jesus actually stacks up pretty well against some of the best attested characters from ancient antiquity. The most
don't do it.
individual during the life of Jesus was the Emperor Tiberius. We know about the details of his life from 4 biographies.
Yeah, and they're real stories. They're secular historical accounts, not magic evangelizing books.
So stupid.
Dude, they're such liars, dude. I can't stand this. Certain. And then appeal to Bart Ehrman, appeal to consensus, and then do the best attested in ancient history. Wrong. Fallacious, wrong.
And like Emperor Tiberius wrote his own book too, that he wrote his own self, his own memoirs. We don't have that for Jesus.
I love how we have a bust of him. Where's our bust of Jesus?
It's just so stupid. We have his enemies writing about, like, this is just so, the whole thing is just ridiculous.
And the dude is a Muslim apologist too, right? Is he Muslim? No, I said Muslim. I meant Mormon. But maybe he's not. I'm not positive he's
I don't
Mormon.
think he's Mormon. No, I don't think
Dan McClellan's Mormon. But you can't take these Christian scholars. You need to take them with a big grain of salt because they're Christian apologists first and foremost, is what they are. Short-haired Mormon Jesus. That's funny.
And like Suetonius even says like that Tiberius wrote his own book. Like the people that are writing about Tiberius, like just this example here, this is why it's so stupid. There's nothing like that for Jesus. Not even Josephus or Tacitus does this. That they're like what they're claiming for Jesus. They don't do what Suetonius does for Tiberius, for example. That doesn't exist. So they're lying, even if we accept their argument, like the framing of their argument.
Albert Schweitzer died 60 years ago, before the Jesus puzzle, before all the modern scholarship, before Richard Carrier's books, before Raphael Lataster's peer-reviewed investigation into mythicism.
I wonder if he thought Moses existed. Did he think that's a good, right?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Right. He probably did, right? So that we know that's bullshit now, right? Like that's the consensus now. So that's just how it has to change.
Yeah, dude. And to cite Bart Ehrman as a radical skeptic when he was trained by Christians on this question, he's no radical skeptic. And he's another one of these guys, he's so radical. He like loves Christianity still. Loves it. Even though he knows it's a forgery and a lie, still loves it. Still doesn't want anybody to stop believing in this forgery. All right, here we go.
Jesus, likewise, has 4 biographers. All of the sources for Tiberius came 80 or more years.
Bruh, 4 biographers? They're all copying Mark. Matthew and Luke are copying Mark. Matthew copies like 90% of Mark. Verbatim. They're not independent biographies and independent eyewitness sources. Again, these guys are bullshitters.
After the
Imagine including John in this, by the way, right? Like this is even under their own framework, let's just give them the argument. Okay, sure, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they can be considered whatever, biographical. I know that that's ridiculous, but including John in this only works if you've never read John, by the way. Like that's a fact. You can't think that John is a biography or a history or that happened. This is ridiculous. And he knows this too, by the way. This isn't new information for him. He knows this.
Even with the most skeptical dating, we're still only waiting for the first gospel biography of Jesus to be written, coming in at around 30.
And now here they are trying to, instead of just admitting like, yeah, it's very sketchy because it's written decades after the events by non-eyewitnesses, instead of admitting that, they go, look, 80 years, we only have a copy of something 80 years after Tiberius. Like, it's such trash, dude. So trash. Really trying to say there's better evidence for Jesus than Tiberius or many of these ancient figures is just pure blatant lies. These guys are not even being somewhat intellectually honest in this debate.
Years after his death, and there's good historical evidence to push that even back to 20 years. And while Mark and Luke were not eyewitnesses to Jesus, Matthew and John were part of his inner circle. Luke states right off the bat.
Dude, so Mark wasn't an eyewitness, but Matthew copies all of Mark when he was an eyewitness. That makes no sense.
That he himself was not an eyewitness, but that he had painstakingly sought out, interviewed, and recorded the tellings of those who were. Every piece of ancient testimony about
he doesn't say interviewed
testify to a direct connection with the earliest Jesus community. Matthew and John were disciples. Luke interviews eyewitnesses and provides his receipts. And all of the earliest testimony about the identity of who Mark is from the ancient world states that he was a traveling companion of Peter the disciple and wrote down what Peter had told him about his time when he was with Jesus. If we compare this to other figures,
that's why he has anti-Peter stuff in there. He learned from Peter, except it contradicts Peter's teachings. Signs with Paul.
From antiquity. We see why this is so important. Alexander the Great, for example, also had 4 biographies written about his life. The earliest and most reliable one of these comes in at just around 450 years after Alexander lived. And this is the norm for ancient biographical material. The ancient world was...
The way they try to do whataboutism for this stuff that's even hundreds of years older than Christianity is so dumb because... Number one, we're not saying that Alexander the Great is the son of God that walked the earth. There's the accounts of him are like regular. They're not full of all magical, mythical, prophecy fulfilling stuff. It's not even close. They're completely different categories of the type of evidence. We have archaeological evidence. We have other people. We have eyewitness at the time. We have their own writings. We have busts. We have coins. We have so many things. They shouldn't be able to get away with this.
Yeah, this is like obviously fraud, right? We talked about this before. But the thing is too is like he's citing, we only know about Tiberius through Tacitus, like because that is one of the sources for Tiberius. In Tacitus, when he's talking about Tiberius, he directly cites Roman records that he is getting his information from. So it's actually part of why we know that the passage that Tacitus uses about Jesus is not strong like they say it is, because it's just hearsay. It's just describing what Christians or basically a group of apocalyptic Jews believe, that, right? Like that's really what it's about. And it shows that their argument is even within its own framing stupid, because Tacitus, when he's talking about Tiberius, he directly cites Roman records that he's pulling up in scrolls directly when he's talking about it. So, and he never does that for Jesus, ever.
Yeah. We're supposed to believe in these stories of the Gospels are true history when the authors aren't identified. They're written at an unknown place, unknown time, unknown author. They're based on one another. Matthew and Luke are copying Mark, and they don't cite any sources. They show no skepticism. It's a fairy tale play story of a prophecy fulfilling Messiah, and he acts like it's the best evidence.
Interviewing eyewitnesses is insane. Luke is just. I mean, I know. I think we talked about this before, but Luke was obviously using Josephus. As like a source material. It's very easy to kind of prove that basically Josephus's Jewish war was being used as a go ahead.
It's not going to read.
They were using the Jewish war as like a material for writing Luke Acts. Like Acts has a bunch of characters that only appear in Josephus, and a bunch of ideas and concepts that are just basically like rewritten ideas through Josephus. So the idea that like Luke was walking around, he got this history from interviewing eyewitness people and actually being there on the ground. That's not serious scholarship. It's just not true. Like, that's bullshit.
Whitarian Muslims sent $5. Do you Chodas believe in eternal punishment for sin in the afterlife?
No.
Love the show.
I don't.
No, it's stupid. It's not even in the Bible. That idea developed in the medieval period, or like the early medieval period, as a Christian expansion or fanfic on the like Jewish concept of the afterlife, which was itself just like based on the Greek one. So like this concept of an eternal hell, that doesn't come from Judaism. No, like Jews didn't teach that as like a punishment or anything like that. This comes as like a later thing. So anyone believing that there's a such thing as like an eternal hell where you burn, that's just taking on like a 9th to 12th century, somewhere around there, I would say, is when it really solidifies, is this like concept of the eternal hell. It's stupid.
Yeah, not only, and he's getting into the Gospels, nobody outside, he thinks God walked on the earth and did all these miraculous things, and nobody else outside of the Bible wrote about it until Josephus and Tacitus 60 and 80 years later. And he's acting like this is the greatest certainty, 100% certainty, everybody agrees, you can't question it, and that's how bad the actual evidence is. All right, here we go.
was not a literate one. It was an oral society who memorized and passed down teachings and histories. Socrates himself decried the practice of writing and reading, saying it would make people lazy and dull their ability to memorize things accurately. Ironically, the only reason we know that is because his student Plato wrote that down. The gospel biographies of Jesus are some of the earliest and most reliable testimony of any ancient figure. Comparisons with others like Tiberius and Alexander the Great provide perspectives on how we as historians weigh the data. Specifically, the amount of text we have about Jesus is good relative to the best known figures from antiquity.
Jesus as
that's like saying we've got lots of sources of ancient Egypt talking about Horus and Osiris, more so than any of the real pharaohs, so the gods more likely existed. Is that not the same argument? Same exact argument, right?
Yeah, and it's ridiculous.
The god stories of the myths of these deities is more likely because there's more. They're on the walls of the pyramids and the hieroglyphics more time than the pharaohs that were real. So they must exist. That's the same exact argument, and that shows the flaw comparing it to Egyptian gods. Bing, bing, boom. God, he sucks. I can't take it, dude. Of course, he gets on Rogan. Carrier doesn't get on Rogan. Price doesn't get on Rogan. Nobody critical in the mainstream of religion
I bet you we can get Neil in
anywhere.
There. I bet you we can get Neil in there, dude. One day.
Yeah, dude, it's just everywhere. Look at this. Jesus is going mainstream real fast. Let's see Jelly Roll's testimony here. Oh, dude, he's got crosses on his face. You know he's for real. This guy performed in front of the Vatican too. Remember that? At the special in front of the Vatican. Hell yeah.
We're going to check in with our judges, and I got to go in with my brother Jelly Roll, who is wiping tears from his face right now. But I want to say something before we get into Jelly Roll. Bear Bailey picked this song long before Jelly Roll was going to be a judge on this show. I just want everybody in the world.
Oh, dude, all these Christians with their face tattoos.
I want to ask Bear, why did you pick this song, my friend? Because I'm a very imperfect person loved by a perfect God. And Jesus.
Dude, it's just like a therapy session for fuck-ups almost.
$10 on Rumble. At Basimi 1949.
Thank you, Basimi. Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Not getting any help from the Kosher Nostra and the Abrahamic Cabal. Another humiliation ritual.
Joey, I have a drug addiction. I've lost everything because of addictions. I'm not perfect. But I serve a God who is, and he believes in redemption. I'm sorry for being emotional.
It's just like a recovery, a crutch.
Dude, imagine it's like your father or something. Like, fuck, man.
It's
Dude,
like
what are you doing?
It's like a crutch, like rehab for addicts and like criminals. Mainstream media trying to kill Christianity, dude. They're trying to ban the Bible. There's nothing they fear more. Dude, they are. This is what we hear all the time, too.
They're the junkies again doing the Jesus Christ thing, haha.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the kind of Christians I deal with in real life all the time.
Yeah.
They'll send me this type of stuff. They'll be like, oh yeah, you know all that stuff about the Bible and you know all the scholarship, but what about this video? And then they'll send me stuff like this all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. How many people call into the spaces and they know nothing about the Bible, but they just believe it because like they had a personal experience or like they started believing
wasted, and I hadn't eaten for 10 days and I hadn't slept for 4 days and I just did some meth and some DMT and then all of a sudden it was crazy, dude. You wouldn't believe it, but I opened the Bible and I saw Jesus come out every single time, dude. Yeah. It's just the craziest.
Remember when Witsit was like, dude, I was like desperate for a wife and I opened up the Bible and I opened up to a page and it said wife on it. And I just know that it's real, dude. Like it's stuff like that.
What I just seen was a room full of people that might not have ever felt it before, but that is called the Holy Spirit of God. And let me tell you,
people can sing, therefore Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is real. Check me.
He doesn't care what you've been through. He doesn't care about your drug addiction. He is your father. He is here to father you, to show you to be a father to those kids. He is here to pour life listen to you. He hung so you could stand here and sing his name on the biggest streaming service in the world on night 2 of us being live.
Biggest streaming service in the world. And they're just having a full... I'm sure this was totally not scripted.
$5 tight for the golf.
Thank you.
I love the shows with Need More Amalek. A dynamic duo indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, I need Amalek sometimes, or otherwise I might have a mental breakdown like these guys.
Man, God is looking at this right now. This is God.
Dude, Jesus has the most clout and is going viral.
He is a redeemer. He is for everybody. Jesus is for everybody. He doesn't hate anybody. He loves everybody, and that's what he stands for. I'm cheering for you. The voice wasn't crazy. You took my song and made it your song.
It appeals to like unloved people.
Northern European's goddess, not a place. Her realm is Helheim, where her table is full of food and drink for those who died, and sickness doesn't sound evil to me.
Oh, is that the pagan god doesn't sound evil? European goddess, her table's full of food and drink. No, dude, it sounds like a demon to me, man. It's just trying to trick you to the table, and it's going to drink your baby blood. Okay. 8,000 likes. Jesus is going mainstream real fast. Oh, it is, huh? This big revival. Yeah, the Jews run everything, but they hate Jesus. That's why Jesus is exploding everywhere. I'm sure that's totally legit. All right, you ready for the Cope Fest of Joel Webbin on with Harrison Smith on InfoWars, the hyphenated heresy?
Oh yeah, let's do it. That's great.
Let's go a little bit of this. It's an hour long, so I think I'm just going to skip a few places. Usually they start with
I want to get this book and debunk it so bad, but I'm sure it's slop.
Yeah. It's going to be every single cope we've already heard.
It's a meticulous, legalistic litigation about the Old Testament. So when Jesus is constantly in the gospel narratives, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, he said, "You have heard it was said." A lot of Christians today, modern evangelical Protestant Christians, are really, at the end of the day, they're antinomians. And what that means, against nomos, law. They're against the law of God. So they will read that and they think, oh, see, Jesus is actually contradicting Moses. Jesus is looking at the law of God that was given by God himself through Moses in the wilderness, and Jesus is saying, God had a law, and Moses said this.
Dude, the rabbis love their Moses and their law, and this guy gets up here and grants it as real, and then acts like he's like the real opposition to it, and that it's his. He tries to appropriate it and say that it's about him, and he's the descendant of Moses and Abraham now. Moses is his daddy now. He's grafted into the Mosaic covenant.
But I tell you, but that's a break in the Trinity. It's as though the Son is somehow against his Father. When Jesus says, "You have heard it was said," what he's talking about is all the commentary, all the litigation, all the piles and piles of, actually on top of Moses, that rabbis had piled up by even his time, much less our time, 2,000 years removed. So when Jesus says, well, the law said this, but I tell you, what he's saying is that Rabbi so-and-so, according to Rabbi so-and-so, according to Rabbi so-and-so, according to Rabbi so-and-so, in commentating and exegeting Moses, says that the application of this commandment given by God really means X, Y, and Z. But I tell you, right, when God says through Moses, do not murder, that this includes even murder at the level of the heart. Right? And so Jesus he's not disagreeing with Moses and therefore God who gave his law through Moses. Jesus is exegeting Moses, and what he's comparing and contrasting is his exegesis of Moses versus the Jewish rabbis' exegesis.
Yeah, they were out pill-pulling each other.
This is just ridiculous. This is so stupid because all this is it's just their ins fighting. This is just Hillel. This is just Hillel. That's all.
Yeah, Hillel, Shammai, rabbinical infighting.
It's just there's two schools within Talmud, so two general schools. One is called Hillel, and it's basically like the underlying meaning or the spirit of the law, basically like taking the law and understanding it on a more like contextual case by case basis.
Yeah. And rabbis debating Torah. That's what Jesus and Christianity started as.
Yeah, Jesus just represents the what you could call, I guess, the liberal or the left wing interpretation of Mosaic law. That's all it is. Him sitting there and acting like it was some profoundly different thing that Jesus was doing in the stories is retarded.
Yeah, there's all these parallels between what Jesus says in the New Testament and in the Talmud. Yeah. And it's like you're going to sit up here and criticize Jews for like, oh, they were interpreting and having commentaries and trying to discuss what the Torah meant, what the laws of Moses is the Torah. It's very ambiguous and not clear, so it requires having to decide and argue about what it means and what they should do, right? It's like that's built into the cake. That's to be expected. Nice job, Anti-Judaic, for this graph, by the way. All of these parallels between New Testament themes and rabbinic pill-pull commentaries. They were pill-pulling and midrashing each other. And it wasn't Jesus doing it to them. It was the believers in Jesus that were using him as a symbol doing it. Okay, anyway. That's what we're talking about here. All while granting the fake laws of Moses and the burning bush.
Jesus of Moses at that time. They were essentially, what they were trying to do is take the law of God and somehow lessen it, right? Like if you swear by the temple, you're fine. But if you swear by the gold of the temple, then you're bound by your oath. Essentially, imagine a group of adult men, lawyers, who are basically coming up with a way of telling your dad, yeah, I'll do that, but nanny, nanny, boo-boo, I had my fingers crossed behind my back. I'm not really obligated. I'm not really bound. And Jesus is saying, well, wait a second, is the gold that makes the temple holy, or is it the temple? No, I tell you. And so then he raises it. He doesn't lower the bar of morality. He raises and said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you give your word at all, whether you shouldn't swear by anything. The earth is God's footstool. Heaven is his throne. The temple is where he's word. Give your yes.
The goyim are the footstool.
And let your word be your word and keep it. Right? So Jesus is not pitted against Moses. Jesus is pitted against the litigation, endless legalistic litigation of lawyers who had perverted Moses to take God's law and lower it. Jesus comes in and raises it and applies it to the level of not just actions, but the heart.
Best Jewish lawyer, Jesus. So based.
And raise up Messiah.
Oh, they feature this video on InfoWars. Yeah, longtime Zionist gatekeeping and Trump shill InfoWars, shilling Jesus, shilling the Christian, all the Christian-controlled op influencers. Oh, all the gatekeeping, big alternative media platforms, all shilling Jesus. Never even a debate or a question or a guest criticizing and saying it's fake. Never.
Also, like, Joel is part of this group of people who is just getting destroyed by the real Christians every single day on Twitter. They're just constantly owning. If you ever want to see what I'm talking about, just go to any Joel tweet and check the retweets and scroll through them. And it's just real Christians and real Jews and Messianic.
He's the villain. He's the boogeyman. He's the whipping doll. He's the face of the Esau persecuting Jews. Opposition.
And on top of that, he is newly red pilled. 10 years ago, I mean, you and I have been talking about this for a long time. People like him are, they just came up. They just, after October 7th, this is new to them, this type of stuff. And I don't think that that's an accident. I think that, part of it's because of the popularization with October 7th and COVID and all that stuff. It really added to it. But I do think that this type of stuff is not like authentic. I think it's being kind of like intentionally pushed.
Yeah, Rogan, all of Rumble, all the Q things, everywhere. If the Satanists are in charge and they're so good at deceiving and covering up and hiding everything, but then everybody's flowing to Jesus more than ever, put two and two together. You're not opposing the man and the establishment and the New World Order or the institutions or whatever by believing in the number one religion of the last 2,000 years.
Theology is wrong.
Well, I can't watch that. We covered that the other day.
Studio. His new book is called The Hyphenated Heresy, Judeo-Christianity. That's the hyphen there in the middle of Judeo and Christianity. You can follow Joel on X, at Joel Webbin, on Rumble at NXR Studios and nxrstudios.com. He is a father, a husband, a pastor who serves at the senior pastor of Covenant Bible Church in Texas. He's the president and founder of Right Response Ministries, where he produces daily content focused on biblical teaching, theology, and cultural issues. Of course, you also gaslight as a, or no, is that the right word? Moonlight. You moonlight as a
no, gaslight was the right word.
Yep. No, you were right the first time. It was gaslight.
Controversial public figure, even though what you're saying, and that video is a great example, seems to me like perfectly in line with, basic Christian theology. But obviously, people don't like that.
Yeah, they don't like it. Well, I think there's a lot of people at the theological, religious level that essentially they assume that that Judaism, modern Judaism, is Christianity is simply minus the New Testament, right? So they think that, well, yeah, we have differences, and Christians worship Jesus and Jews don't, but Judaism, out of all these other religions aside from Christianity, would be the closest to Christianity. So it's a lot of evangelical Protestant Christians, they acknowledge Judaism is not Christianity, but it's the closest. Whereas I would argue that in many regards, it's actually the furthest. Islam is it's a false religion, and you can go back 1,400 years of incredible conflicts between Christians and Muslims. And so I don't want to belittle the problems with Islamic teaching.
You know what? Look at this real quick. Sorry. Albert Schweitzer, right? He was also a Lutheran minister. That's who Wes Huff cited saying, oh, it's the best evidence ever. Of course, it's all these Christians every single time. What do you think they're going to say? Oh, actually, no, there's no good evidence at all. He probably fake, actually. Yeah, I'm sure the Christian theologians are going to do that. The ministers are going to say that. That's who they're citing in this consensus. Isn't that wild? This is also gay. Every single time.
Especially as it pertains to Muslims religiously gaining more and more power here in the United States. That is a problem. So I don't want to minimize that. But the reality is that Islam still esteems Christ. So they're going to reject his deity. They're not going to see him as the way, the truth, and the life, as the only begotten Son of God, but still herald him and esteem him as a great prophet, close to, or a similar.
I guess we love the Arabs more than white people, white pagans, I guess, right?
Esteemed. Buddhism has a place for Jesus.
Yeah, Jack Stone. It's not the closest religion; it's the root of the religion. Exactly. Totally.
As esteemed, there's only one major world religion that actually despises Christ, that teaches that Christ is currently burning in hell, that views him as a heretic and a blasphemer and a false teacher, and that is Judaism. So the best way to think about it is when we read the Old Testament, we're not Marcionites, which is a heresy of really severing the new from the old, and reading the New Testament in isolation. That's your Christian, liberal Christian who, would be like, well, but the red letters of the scripture, say, and what they mean by that is that.
Hold on. Dude, Marcionites are not like liberal Christians, you fucking moron. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah, Reformed Christians are not Marcionite.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. What a fucking moron he is. He doesn't know dude. I'm convinced that he doesn't know shit, and he just watches like YouTube videos on Christianity all day. I'm convinced of it every time.
Yeah, he just watched a little E. Michael Jones and Pastor Baldwin. The funny thing is too is he's brand new on the scene, and he's acting like he's the prophet and the one that was like first saying this and sticking his neck out on the line.
Someone's got to do it. He's doing that. He does this thing where basically
we've been hearing Christians say all this stuff for a long time, and it's failed. And the Jews have more power than ever.
Yeah, well, one of the common criticisms of the real Christians of this guy is that he basically like slept with someone who was in his flock, and I guess that's who his wife currently is or something like that. I don't know the details, but basically something like that happened. So he's sitting here acting like oh, I'm the guy that you guys all got to get information from, and the way he acts is that like. If I wasn't out here talking about these issues, like I have to be doing it because nobody else is. I don't even want to do this. He's said that before. Like I don't even want to be your pastor, but nobody else will step up and do the job right. So I feel called to. And he does that while like sleeping with women in his that are like members of his church. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
It somehow eradicates everything in the Old Testament, that the Old Testament doesn't even exist anymore. Well, Jesus never talked about homosexuality, so therefore, it's on the table. That's just not basic Christian theology. We hold the Old and New together. But the best way to think of it, there's one theologian who said that the Old Testament is like a richly furnished room, but dimly lit. But it can be fully appreciated in the light of the New Testament. And the way to understand Judaism in comparison to Christianity, Talmudic Judaism, modern Judaism, is that both of us share the Old Testament. The problem, though, is that they're not just the Old Testament minus the New. We both have lenses that are placed over the Old Testament to interpret it and understand it. We have the New Testament, and so we read the Old Testament through the New Testament as our lens. The Jew will read the Old Testament through the lens of the Talmud. And what the Talmud does is it doesn't just mean they have the Bible minus the New Testament. The Old Testament that they have is twisted and perverted and changed by the Talmud, that that murky lens that they're reading the Old Testament through. So what you're left with in Judaism is not half of Christianity, but it's arguably the most hostile world religion to Christianity.
And now,
is that why?
So ridiculous,
dude. Is that why all the Jews give Trump's millions of dollars? Is that why Ben Shapiro and Shabbos Kestenbaum and all these Jews always say, like, oh, our greatest allies, Judeo-Christian values, go to church, Jesus this, Jesus that, all the time?
Is that why he had to write a fucking book on it? Debunking the idea? Like, he's an idiot.
Right.
If it's so obvious.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Is that why we have video after video of rabbis laughing and celebrating that Jesus Judaized the world, and the top rabbi in all of Judaism says, yeah, it's got issues, but it still served a divine purpose?
Also, like, his concept of, like, oh, the Talmud just ruins the interpretation. The ones who take the more liberal, like, open interpretation of the Old Testament is the Christians. The ones who have the more literal, legalistic interpretation are the Jews and the Talmud. The ones who take, like, the letter of the law even more seriously and who are actually following it are the Jews.
Yeah, they're taking it more literally. Yes. The Christianity is taking the Old Testament completely symbolically and mystically.
100%. Oh, yeah. The light of the New Testament illuminates, blah, 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 blah. That is, like, even the most liberal interpretation of, like, Hillel Judaism within the Talmud doesn't even support that.
Webben's basic argument here boils down to that Christianity is more mystically, Kabbalistically interpreted of the Old Testament, and the Jews aren't reading the Old Testament Jewishly enough, mystically enough. That's kind of what the argument is. They're not interpreting their books mystically enough to see the heavenly Jesus. That's kind of what the argument here is.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be surprising for a lot of people to hear, because I feel like I'm constantly trying to remind people Judaism is not Christianity. I mean, nowadays.
No, Christianity is a form of Judaism.
There's this conflation where to even suggest that these are different religions with different worldviews.
Nobody thinks they're the same religion. Not a single person in the world thinks that.
Yeah.
Nobody.
If it was the same religion, it would just be the same religion.
When people say Judeo-Christianity, not a single person right now thinks, oh, yeah, that means like the same religion. No, nobody does. Yeah. Nobody thinks that.
Yeah. No, they share the Old Testament and the belief in Bible prophecies and think the God of Israel has a Messiah. That's what they share.
Yeah, it's just
which is like the crux of all of it. That's like granting every single part of it and only arguing about the details.
Real Vision sent $10 on Rumble. They might say Jesus AI is the Antichrist.
Yeah. Yep. Elon's going to upload his brain into a Tesla bot, and then it's going to program himself as Jesus. All right.
Wrong. People seem to not be able to recognize that, and they, like you said, want to treat Judaism like Christianity minus the New Testament. But even that phrase is a little absurd, right? I mean, how do you have Christianity without the New Testament? That really doesn't make any sense. So it is something utterly and completely different. And we see now the way that Christians
Dude, utterly and completely different just because they don't believe in a Messiah? How come we see the Jews go, how come everybody else goes, it's like they agree on everything besides the last 10%, right? That's not utterly and completely different. You still believe in prophecies of a Messiah. Is that utterly different?
Yeah, the disagreement is over the last 90%.
No, 10%.
5%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the whole thing's retarded.
This is so cope, Harrison. Come on.
The Middle East and around Israel are being absolutely brutalized by the Israeli regime. I mean, and they just took over the Settlers' Field, which was the place where the Shepherd's Field, rather. The settlers took over the Shepherd's Field, which was the place where the shepherds were, greeted by the angel who told them to go find Jesus.
Oh,
in the manger.
Is that true?
That's
what the shepherds did it?
Cool story, bro.
1,000 people in that village were just violently expelled and taken over. So this is there's still a real world conflict going on here. This isn't just about ancient philosophy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, the average Jewish person, whether they're practicing or not, that's another thing to point out is, people will be quick to say, yeah, but the average Jewish person is not a religiously practicing Jew. Most of Israel is secular, and I recognize that. But what I think it's important for people to realize is you can say the same thing about America. So at this point, it's sad, but we really, as a nation, have apostatized against the Lord Jesus Christ, and we're not nearly as Christian as we...
Hold on. Did you hear him say that most of Israel is secular? Everybody heard that, right? Hold on. Watch.
Practicing or not, that's another thing to point out is, people will be quick to say, yeah, but the average Jewish person is not a religiously practicing Jew. Most of Israel is secular, and I recognize that. But
most of Israel is secular. How come I go, what percentage of Israel is atheist? And it says 8 to 15 are convinced atheists. This says 65%. Some 20% of Israeli Jews do not believe in a deity. Religion has outsized role in Israel. Dude, I love how the problem always is that Israel's not Jewish enough. Why do they all do this?
Yeah, as if all of them. Okay, like right now, if we could snap our fingers and have them all follow whichever version of Judaism is acceptable to Joel Webben.
Mm-hmm.
Optics Prime sent $5 on Rumble. Similar religious beliefs with a different sacrifice.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. They're both using their own version of what is it called? Atonement, replacement atonement, or whatever it's called within Christianity, sacrificial atonement. So it's just switching out who the atonement ritual is about. But yeah, like Joel Webben, he's sitting here and talking shit on Judaism when there's just there's no functional difference between his beliefs and theirs. And as far as the secularization goes, if we could snap our fingers and make them all whichever version of Judaism that he would prefer, what would that do? What would that change? Absolutely nothing. There's no change in it. They would still have their borders justified the same way. It would arguably make the problem worse. If all the Jews in Israel were some version of like religious Jew, they would probably be like crusading to the Euphrates by now. Like what the fuck is this? Like, what is this point he's making?
It's such a weird point to always bring up. And also it's weird. It's funny. They'll say like, oh, America's a Christian nation, but then they'll say Israel's like not a Jewish nation at the same time. It's just so weird. They all do it too. They all do the atheist Israel thing.
What I think it's important for people to realize is you can say the same thing about America.
Oh, there we go.
At this point, it's sad. But we really, as a nation, have apostatized against the Lord Jesus Christ, and we're not nearly as Christian as we once were. And yet, at the same time, all these Christian underpinnings are still there. So you have plenty of people who are never going to darken the door of a church on Sunday morning and don't even, or if they do, it's twice a year. They're, cultural Christians.
Yeah, they're like, we're a completely different religion, but we all believe in these type of fairy tales from the Old Testament. But we're utterly and completely different.
Won't even profess to be followers of Christ, and many of them are not truly regenerate. They're not born again. They're not Christians in any sense of the term. And yet, there's still cultural aspects in the West, in European countries, in America, that ultimately come from this Christian foundation. Well, it's the same.
I love how he sit up here and he says, all of America is apostates. They're all heretics. He is the one that has it right. They just have all the power and the influence, and they're always dunking on him, and he's made as the example as the boogeyman. They're all wrong. They're not the true Christians. They do this cope every single time.
Apply that same concept now to Israel, and you can say, well, 75% of Israelis, Jews living in Israel or Jews here in America, they're not practicing. They're not religious Jews. Dave Smith would be an example.
You just said 75%. Like it's not. I just brought up the actual numbers from their government, and it's 42%.
Are atheist?
Are secular, yeah.
Secular.
So it says.
So it's majority religious, exactly.
As of Rosh Hashanah 2025, out of all Jews in the state of Israel, 42.7% of Jews self-identify as secular, 33.5% as traditional, 12% as religious, and 11.4% as ultra-Orthodox. And then it has like a little table here explaining it. But yeah,
I always ask this: what's the difference if it's like 33% Orthodox or 66% Orthodox? Like, what is the real difference? They're still there either way. It's kind of just such an irrelevant mute point.
And the secular ones all believe in their national epic is history. Like, even if they don't believe in the God part or anything like that, they do believe that this is our ancient ethnic homeland and the stories in there are authentic. And even if they, even the ones that are like biblical scholars, minimalists or anything like that, they're still Zionists. They're still just as much Zionists. That, like, the idea that you have to be like religious to be Zionist isn't even necessarily true too. There's like Nietzschean Zionists, and like there's a lot of like left-wing ideologies that developed Israel, and like so all these ideas still make them just as Zionist as the religious ones. So the whole concept of like the secular Jews are different. It's just so stupid. They act exactly the same in practice. Because
I don't even know why he said that part. It didn't even like make a point regarding
none of it makes any sense. Yeah.
I would say is that in the same way that American culture, even modern present-day culture in America, was forged by Christianity, so too Jewish culture is forged by Judaism. Whether you acknowledge that or you're practicing or not, there's still the underpinnings that are still there. And I
agree with that completely. I always say that.
I'm not saying that everything is bad about it, but some of the negative implications, the religion of Judaism, the best way to understand it is a religion of lawyers, a religion of litigation. No, it really is.
It is. Well, because the Talmud is all arguments. It's all. Right. Actually, I'm a big fan of a YouTuber called Ash Mays, and him describing it, and he's sort of defending the Talmud in certain ways because people do. You can find.
Hold on. Does he think Christians never debated on what the Bible means and what the New Testament means? Because they do. Of course. Why do you think you've had all these schisms and councils and debates and church fathers and everything? They act like this is only a Jewish thing of them discussing what the scriptures mean.
Tracks of the Talmud that sound horrible.
Oh yeah, the Jews, they're dumb. They like fight each other like lawyers. The Goyim are way better. We just kill each other in 30 years war and destroy our own nations over who the Messiah is actually.
Yeah, we just have schisms and go to war with each other.
Yeah, we just completely destroy our own nations, because Edom is supposed to fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the attorney Jacob wrestles with God. Very true. Yeah, they do describe the heavens as like a courtroom.
So sick and tired of sharing this country with these dumb idiots that believe stupid like Noah's Ark and get off on being victims. Is it too hard to ask for people who are normal? Everywhere I go I either see a crucifix, pride flag, etc.
I know. We're surrounded by Jewish cultists. Jewish Messiah blood magic cultists.
And the other thing too is like the biggest thing that they can point to, like if you press someone like Joel, like, hey, what's your biggest disagreement with Christians between with Jews? Like, what's the biggest difference? I asked this of Beardson when I talked to him in the space. What's their biggest difference? And they all point to the same thing, which is abortion. Oh, in Judaism you can have abortion, but in Christianity you can't. And like their argument there is based on like ridiculous premise, because the reason that Judaism is okay with abortion is directly just out of the Old Testament. Like that's where it comes from. When the reason that a lot of Christians are against it it's based on like natural law and like the concept of like extending something like out. It's like basically like the more legalistic literalist interpretation is the Jewish one. The Christian interpretation is the more like mystical midrashic interpretation, like the against the letter of the law and more in favor of the spirit of the law. So these guys are like making like an incoherent point when they're doing this too, where they're sitting there and pointing at that, oh, Judaism is a bunch of legalistic lawyers. Like it's just stupid. It doesn't make it doesn't help them at all. It's not like a legitimate critique of Judaism. The legitimate critique of Judaism is that it's Mashiach coming to rule the world in a Davidic monarchy to get all the Goyim worshiping their God. Like that is the problem with Judaism, not this like, oh, well, they believe in abortion and like and like our version says no abortion. Like that's stupid.
When it doesn't even say no abortion.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here we go.
Quite what they're trying to say. But I mean, it's, the way he describes it is like, imagine taking, the transcript of legal proceedings for like a whole century in America and saying, this is your holy book now. You wouldn't know what people believed, because some people are making this argument, some people are making this argument. It's like, do they believe both? How could they? So yeah, I mean, the Talmud is very much a sort of lawyer-ish conversation about the Old Testament.
Right. It's a meticulous, legalistic litigation about the Old Testament. So when Jesus is constantly in the gospel narratives, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, he said, you have heard it was said. A lot of Christians today, modern evangelical...
We saw that already.
Nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
We saw that.
As long as you fulfill the function, then it counts. And he's saying, no, you have to actually believe this stuff. That's what matters.
That's exactly right. The number one word that Jesus uses to describe as an indictment,
they completely
salvation coming through belief is like
humans
such
just
an
come to
important
this
point.
naturally. No, this was
it's such a ridiculous concept theologically. It has to be born out of something that didn't exist.
Concept.
Dude, look, they're playing B-roll of The Chosen. Oh, maybe this is a different movie. But The Chosen is advertising their latest Jesus show, streaming everywhere on all the biggest platforms, of Jesus with the whip whipping the tables. Netanyahu brought it up. He goes, Jesus whipped the tables and the money changers in the temple, because he fears it so much. Netanyahu shilled Jesus's whipping scene.
And with that, real quick, the Bible tells us this is why we need the New Testament and the Old, because the very question that immediately is raised from the Golden Rule, love your neighbor as you love yourself. This is one of two. So Jesus says, Matthew, I believe it's 22 verses. It's towards the latter part of Matthew. It's like 4 or 5 verses. He says, and he said to them, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, or heart, soul, and strength. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like it, that you should love your neighbor as yourself. But then he finishes by saying, all the law and the prophets, all the Old Testament moral commandments hinge on these two. So when you look at those two commandments, right, the golden rule being the second greatest.
This is literally halal, by the way. This is literally the whole premise for halal. It's so crazy to see. It's almost like, because I would say, like, on the argument in the Talmud that Hillel wins, like the Hillel school wins, it's actually pretty low. And I think that basically in a lot of ways, a lot of rabbis throughout time must have looked at Christianity and been like, oh, I'm going to go with the more legalistic school because the other one is so close to Christianity, and like they saw those parallels and those ideas. This whole argument is like, oh, the golden rule and all this other stuff. Like, this is what they're arguing for. Just the example of abortion. They're sitting there in the Talmud arguing over basically the concept of, well, who is more important, the life of the life of the mother, and who has like more like spiritual rights, kind of thing. They're basically like arguing for a hierarchy of, what's more important to the mother and what would God want you to do, which is exactly the kind of stuff that they're talking about doing here. It's retarded. They're so stupid.
Two laws that Jesus gives are a summary of the 10 commandments. So that the question that it should raise is, okay, love the Lord my God with everything, but how? Commandments number 1 through 4 in the 10 commandments: have no other gods before me, do not make any graven images, don't take the Lord's name in vain, and remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do you just make up what you think is loving towards your neighbor, or did God write a book? Commandments number 5 through 10, the second table of the law: honor your father and mother, do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness, and do not covet. So it's not just do unto your neighbor as you would have him do. God actually lines out what that
dude all this 10 commandment stuff sounds like a completely, utterly different religion than what the Jews talk about, dude. The Jews don't have the 10 commandments.
Oh, that's stupid. I was just gonna say, like, you're saying that the Savior that was meant to conquer the Goyim is now implementing Noahide laws? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, like this is like that.
Jesus is coming and saying, hey, you guys actually just follow the commandments. Like, just follow the Noahide laws. Like, that's basically what Jesus is saying here under his own idea of what Jesus
Yeah. Also similar to the 10 Commandments, the Noahide laws. Exactly.
Like, it's not just a blank canvas for our creative license and freedom. The Bible doesn't just say what to do, it tells us how to do it. And to understand that, you have to stop pitting Jesus against the Old Testament and realize that Judaism is not the Old Testament minus Jesus. It's the Old Testament corrupted and perverted through Jewish rabbis who are trying to wiggle their way out of obedience to God.
And again, the funny thing is,
dude, Jews are obsessed with trying to follow God's laws. They do have loopholes, but they only have loopholes because they burden themselves with 613 laws to begin with. Literally Jews, like Adam King, he does so much weird shit and prayers and tries to follow all these strict laws and Sabbath and stuff because they're trying to follow God's law. And this guy goes, they just don't want to follow the law. It's like, dude. And that's the problem with Jews, is they're not Jewing hard enough. They're not Jewing their laws
they have no
properly.
They have no legitimate critique against Jews or Judaism. But basically, all of their critiques are just stupid, nonsensical, and superstitious.
Not the Old
Whole
Testament
thing is
minus
dumb.
Jesus. It's the Old Testament.
Oh, and he
You have
goes,
the clips
people
of him
try to
and Nick?
pin Jesus against the Old Testament. No, we don't actually. Jesus is a myth written from the Old Testament. That's what we actually say.
You got to see. Do you have the clips of him and Nick too?
Yeah, I do. And Christians
nice.
do loopholes too. Jesus did pill pull loopholes when he says the Gentiles don't have to circumcise or eat kosher or follow the commandments. Like that's a way of not following God's law. And that's why Christianity wasn't for Jews, because Jews are commanded to always follow the law. And if somebody comes along and says don't follow the laws of God that are just for the Jews, then they're a false teacher, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Adam's carrying around a baggie of burnt up cow ashes because he's trying to follow God's law. Like, come on, that's all they do. They're obsessed with God's laws and them keeping the covenant and the commandments. And this is why do they get everything completely wrong and backwards? I don't get it.
Corrupted and perverted through Jewish rabbis who are trying to wiggle their way out of obedience to God.
And again, the funny thing is, if you read the Old Testament, Jews are constantly falling out of favor with God. I mean, the most famous one is worshiping the golden calf with Moses. I mean, Moses wasn't gone 5 minutes and they're worshiping a cow statue. So it's the idea that nowadays people, act like if you criticize Israel or Jews or Judaism, that you're like in violation of some, sacred commandment to, never question them. But it's like, no, the whole story of the Jews is that they are, fallen just like we all are, and they fall away from God and they're tempted away from him.
So he goes, oh, they're told us not to question them, but then you're going to not question the book that you're citing right now? You don't question this story. Oh, you're not allowed to question them. You don't let us question these Jewish fairy tales, Harrison.
Dude, these guys don't know shit about their own. The golden calf story, guys, just so everyone is aware, has nothing to do with paganism. It's a polemic against other Yahweh cults. There was other Yahwehists who were using the bull imagery and that golden calf imagery as a stand-in for worshiping Yahweh. And basically, what Moses is doing, or what the story is doing, by basically talking against those people, is it's against that school of Yahwehists. Okay, that's what the golden calf story is about. It's not about them worshiping foreign god. That's not what's going on. It's a polemic within Israel, within Judaism, within Yahwehism. They don't even know the first thing about their religion. It's so pathetic.
Well, yeah, because it originally was a polytheistic religion, the Canaanite gods and other gods. So, but then they wanted to be more exclusive with Yahweh as the only Hebrew tribal war god. So he's jealous and doesn't. It's a bad thing to worship any of the other gods. He wanted to be the only game in town, and this is what Harrison is legitimizing. How does Candace say it?
Lola wanna
Delegitimizing. That's right.
Well, just to be more specific, like the calf imagery for Yahweh was the Bethels and Danites. That's where the Israelites who use that imagery. It's just a polemic against them. That's what it is. It's specifically against them. It's not about foreign gods. It's other ways to worship Yahweh is what they're complaining about in that passage, not paganism or anything else. It's just a way of basically like the Jerusalem cult of Yahwehists pointing to the Northern Kingdom Yahwehists and being like, don't do what they do. Because the Northern Kingdom Yahwehists were using this type of imagery, the calf imagery, to represent Yahweh. That was the issue.
God sends them a prophet to sort of set them right and try to get them back on track, and then they fall off again. So what you're saying is, again, not even like out of line with traditional Jewish history. This is what happens. And for a lot of Jews right now, I would say they've fallen off quite a bit. You look at things like the number one, the owner of the biggest pornography site in the world, the consortium of pornography sites.
Jews have fallen off. They're running shit. I thought that's what we complain about every day.
All of the beautiful language about chastity and virtue, and Solomon writes all these beautiful things about women and being protected. How can you possibly say that you were in line with the Old Testament beliefs and ideology when you're peddling smut. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Dude, they don't know anything. They think the Star Ren fan and all this other shit, that's what their belief is in the Old Testament. They don't know shit about the Old Testament. They don't know any of what I just said about the polemics of the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom of Yahwehist cults. They don't know
it's
anything.
like a handful of Jews were in pornography, so I guess like Jews don't believe in their religion anymore. That's also the underlying logic of that argument.
Somebody posted the cat in the chat just here. I'll let this go. Oh, never mind. It's something from earlier. Okay, he said the calf imagery was Ionian apparently, and the top Jews at the time were trying to center their cult around Set and Typhon. Yeah, but like that concept, like I don't necessarily 100% agree with that, but like that concept, like that's what's going on there in the text. Is basically that the northern kingdom of Israel was essentially trying to like incorporate what we would call like paganistic practices into Yahweh worship, and that whole thing is just like that whole part of the story is a polemic against them. That's what it is. It's not an authentic history, and Jews like that's not what it is, and it's not against paganism either.
And a guy like Dennis Prager, he has said this publicly, and so I'm not making anything up, but he said that in the case of child pornography, if it's AI and not an actual child, that it would be permissible. Or, adult pornography. He said that, if it's causing you to no longer desire your wife or to no longer be a loving husband, then that's a problem. But maybe, you just have a greater sexual appetite than your wife, and, and you're annoying her, and so then it could actually be a way of loving your wife, and it's biblically permissible. And people, Christians have
white Jesus
about that and said, well, this is atrocious. What you're carving out, moral grounds for pornography or AI kiddie porn. How could you do that? And what Dennis Prager has said is, because Jesus says if you lust after a woman in your heart, that you've already committed adultery. And Dennis Prager will be the first to point out, and I'm not saying he's particularly bad, but this is just a good example of the Jewish worldview. He's like, oh, well, see, that's not the Torah. That's not the Old Testament. But the whole point is that Jesus is taking Moses, thou shalt not commit adultery, and then giving us God's meaning of these are all the different practical applications.
Pornography is Talmudic? Is that serious? It's funny because like I know the Greeks and I think the Romans also, they found a lot of old shit where they had like naked stuff everywhere,
Oh, yeah.
Naked murals and depictions and games and all types of. They just didn't see nudity as something evil. Our natural bodies as something evil.
Thanks, Adam, for going hard as usual. Snowed in up on a hill, and you're coming with me to the store.
Let's go to the store, man. Let's go to the store. Let's do it.
Of that commandment, the seventh commandment, to not commit adultery. And Jesus says, so you can commit adultery in deed, you can also commit it in thought, you can commit it in your heart. Same, do not murder. You can commit it in deed, but you can also commit it in thought and in your heart and your emotions and hatred towards other people. And the modern Jew, even guys who have done some good like Dennis Prager, are exactly the people that Jesus is talking about. You are finding a way. The reason why you reject the New Testament is not because you're extra religious or extra, holy. It's actually because you know that if you can just have the Old Testament, the Torah, apart from the New, and then litigate it through rabbis instead of exegeting it through Jesus, you can lower the bar of morality.
Hey, exegesis through rabbis. Their rabbis are just called priests. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
They're still doing exegesis too.
Yeah, the Pope puts out statements all the time. Oh, the church is living their organ, and it changes depending on what the councils say, and blah blah blah. Like, dude, they've all been doing this forever. Like, they're such hypocrites.
Yeah, pot calling kettle black. Exactly. Yeah, no self-awareness.
And again, it just seems obvious to me. How are you going to think about something all the time and not, be tempted by it? Like, of course, you should not think about and allow yourself to fantasize about things that you aren't actually going to do. Again, that seems kind of obvious,
what?
I like that you use Dennis Prager as an example because he's obviously.
So if you're single, you can't fantasize about having a beautiful wife someday and good kids. That's bad. That's a sin. Lusting after the natural. God created us with lust and the biological instinct to procreate. But they turn that into a sin. You're not allowed to see. See, this is also how they can criminalize and get you with the sin fear matrix stuff. Naturally, we see a beautiful woman, we're attracted to it, right? They say that's bad. You're bad for doing that. It's bad to think a beautiful woman is beautiful and want to have kids with her. That becomes like criminalized in a way where you need to believe in the death of the king of the Jews to make it right.
So stupid.
It's weird.
You know, from everything I've seen, he's very like moral. He's very, you know, he probably wouldn't own pornography companies, but there are these sort of subtle differences that it's like, well, it's not so bad. And I remember growing up, like I grew up, a lot of my friends were Jews, and like the Christians, our parents would tell us like you should wait till you're married to have sex. Like it's a special thing, and that's what God wants. Sex is really only appropriate inside the bounds of marriage. Whereas my Jewish friends were told by their parents, hey, sex is an important part of marriage, and if you aren't compatible on a sexual level, it can cause a lot of problems. So actually, you want to make sure to sleep with somebody before you really commit to them, because otherwise, if you're not compatible in that way, you could be setting yourself up for a life of misery. Both, whatever. You can choose whichever version you want, but these are sort of fundamental differences in that actually matter, and how your life plays out, and the choices that you make, and what you value in morality. So again, it's just this idea that like Judaism is not Christianity, and you can like either one, but the idea that somehow both of these things are exactly the same, and
again, another stupid
Nobody
anecdotal
said that
argument.
Exactly. It's so dumb.
Yeah, no, they always, it's the straw man saying it's exactly the same. You don't think there's Orthodox Jews that don't want their daughters having sex until they're married and marry them off young in some arranged marriage? Of course they do. You don't think there's Christians that, millions of sincere believing Christians that had sex before marriage? Oh, I was a kid and my mom said this and their mom said that. Like, dude, this is such a weak anecdotal argument. I wonder what the Orthodox Jewish position is on sex before marriage. I'm going to chat GPT that, because I bet you it's the same thing as Christianity. And that seems like a pretty good point to me, to have sex with somebody before you get married, to see, like, if it's compatible, I guess. I don't know. He didn't give an argument against it.
Judaism is actually Christianity, but even better somehow, like that a lot of evangelicals especially tend to believe. It's important to identify, look, there are differences, and they might not be world-breaking, but they're substantial, and multiply them out 1,000 times, for every person, change the way they act just a little bit, and you end up with major glaring gulfs of difference.
Check it out. Hold on. How did I know? Orthodox Judaism is very strict about this. Orthodox Judaism prohibits all sexual relations outside of marriage. That includes vaginal intercourse and any other sexual acts intended for sexual gratification. This is not just a moral preference grounded in halakha Jewish law. See what I'm saying, dude? They don't know what they're talking about and make shitty arguments.
Between these two groups.
And that's the whole purpose of the book. The hyphenated heresy, Judeo-Christianity, which you can get on Amazon, and it's been doing really well. We've just released it a little bit over, I think like 2.5 weeks ago, and we've already sold coming up on like 2,500 copies, which is great. It's self-published, but there's just an appetite for this content. But that was the big focus at the end of the day, is just help.
That means he's probably made like $25,000.
It's not that we hate all Jewish people or anything like that, but helping people understand that Judaism and Christianity, they're not one and the same. There is no such thing as Judeo-Christian. And people say, well, of course, as religions, they're distinct, and so there's no Judeo. But that phrase was just talking about our common virtues. And what we're articulating in the book is, no, even at the level of virtues and values and morals, Jews and Christians don't share that either. Just like you just said, your Jewish friends grew up hearing one set of morals from their parents. Christians grew up hearing a different. So even this idea of shared...
Let's prove that wrong.
No, we don't have... It's like, well, we have the shared 10 Commandments. Correct, but we have the 10 Commandments explained by Christ in the light of the New Testament and how they apply even at the level of the heart. They have the 10 Commandments watered down with more obscurity and more loopholes by 2,000 years of lawyers trying to figure out a way to basically...
They have 630...
Yeah, dude.
So religiously, this is different. Morally, this is different.
Dude, you're both... So two different Jews interpreting the Old Testament. Okay, so different.
Substantial section in the book talking about the way Judeo-Christian has been hijacked as a tool politically to get America and Western nations to be subservient to Israel.
Well, that's true. Christianity, period, has done that, though. Not just the term Judeo-Christian, the term that everybody knows, Christianity came from Judaism, which is a fact. But yes, that has been used politically, and all of Christianity has been, because Christianity comes from Judaism, they're able to use it politically. Get it? Yeah, this guy really hates lawyers.
That's a big part of the book as well.
And that's why it's key to talk about this right now, because, obviously this isn't a religious show. We talk about politics, we talk about geopolitics, we talk about culture, and there are a couple major...
It is a Christian network. All the network is always shilling Jesus. There's no hosts on the show that are not pro-Jesus. It is a Christian shilling show. Come on, Harrison.
Trends happening right now. One of them is the vicious and sort of brutal attacks against Christianity, and then sort of the countervailing push to criminalize anti-Semitism. I mean,
brutal attacks against Christianity.
It's not something that we can just like, well, you don't talk about religion in polite societies. Well, it's having a direct impact on our freedoms, on our liberty, on where our money is going. So actually, we do have to talk about this, and we have to determine, which set of values we want to follow, because you can't follow both. I think there was some guy that said you can't follow two masters. It's slipping my mind who that might have been. Of course, it was Jesus Christ, the Messiah, Son of God. We'll be back on the other side with Joel Webb, and we're actually...
Okay, well, do you serve America or Jesus?
Narnians who are like, fair-skinned, and they're, of course, Narnia is symbolic of Christians, and Aslan is symbolic.
Oh God, we're doing Narnia.
I don't really understand that, but what I do understand is this dude is a man, and I need masculinity in my life.
Yeah, and again, it's funny because it seems so obvious, but somehow the churches are just in this death spiral where they're losing popularity.
Dude, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, but he's not Jewish.
Society-wide moral degradation, and that just makes things worse. And it's funny because everybody from the outside can see it, but the churches they can't help themselves. Right. They keep going down this death spiral. And so it's not even like muscular, masculine Christianity. It's just Christianity that stands up for itself, and that's strong, and that says this is who we are, and we're not apologizing for it. And I'm sorry you have a different religion that disagrees with us. That's fine. Go over there and do that. We're not changing for you. That's all it takes. And I guess, call that muscular or masculine or whatever, but really it's just true belief. It's true faith. It's assertion and confidence. Why don't our churches have that?
It's what Christians have always believed, but something changed, and I think we can kind of date it.
Stick to interpreting Narnia
on this, but I think of 1948. There were waves along the way. Like you can go back to the Enlightenment and see some of the things that crept into historic Christianity. You can go back to,
That's enough of Webbin.
Are you sure you don't want to go over Webbin with Nick?
Well, that's more so Nick talking.
Yeah, for once.
This is the guy that always does the Candace videos. Christ Brain, big YouTuber, does a debunk of Christian Zionism. I don't know. That's pretty much what we just heard. Hold on, let's do this. Hodge Twins. The guy that super chatted Nick asking him if a Jew created the universe. Hodge Twins had on this Muslim guy, former Christian turned Muslim.
I think it's a fair question to ask.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, is the objective truth that our Creator sent to humanity to pray to a Jewish man as God? That's what I question.
Actually,
the wrong way or anything like.
Actually, if you worship the God of the Bible, yes, that is what he wanted. That was the goal. Worship a Jewish guy as man. Or I don't know. It doesn't necessarily say worship the Son of Man or the Messiah. It says they will look upon him, and they will bow to him, and that he can forgive sins, which only God can do. So in a way, yeah, I do think the Bible says the ultimate goal is for all the goyim to worship a Jew.
Is the objective truth that our Creator sent to humanity to pray to a Jewish man as God? This is what I question. I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way or anything like that, but this is what I asked Nick because I find it so fascinating. Over a decade now, he's come to the conclusion they've infiltrated everything. Have they infiltrated faith? Yeah. I think it's a fair question to ask. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They created the faith.
You're not going to go eat dinner next week in restaurants, man.
What are you going to do? But at the end of the day,
they infiltrated. They walk on talk about Judeo-Christian.
But they've even infiltrated some.
Come on. They infiltrated. Dude, Christianity is Judaism, comes from Judaism. What's with this complaining about being subverted or infiltrated? It was started by Jews. It was created by Jews. You're complaining about Jews infiltrating something they created?
The Schofield Bible, for example, they were. I'm assuming
Candace
you know
brought
about
that to light.
So then
Talk to her.
it's where did the infiltration?
Pete Rules 247 sent $5 on Rumble. Christianity's Guide to Masculinity. Castrate yourself. Be small. Don't have drive to get anything. And just worship Sky Daddy until you die.
Yeah, all the most hardcore Christians are like monks living in monasteries, super masculine.
Start, and that's what I, recommend people to
Yo,
look
can
into.
I get out of the shot when you talk? I'm trying to get home tonight, man. I ain't trying to get kirked.
But anyways, I asked Nick Fuentes $25 super chat.
Oh yeah, they totally killed Kirk.
I'm supposed to leave the next day. I'm trying to sleep.
Yep. Yes, I do. Jesus Christ.
That's funny.
Anonymous just
Become kind of goofy.
I love how they're spinning that Nick admits that a Jew created the universe into like Islam is the answer. Not just that it's all fake and Jewish, but that Islam is the true Jesus. Sad.
Do you believe the creator of the universe is a Jew?
Yeah.
He goes, yep.
Yep.
I don't know, man. And he calls me a race traitor.
I
He
don't
calls
think
me a
anyone-
race traitor. Like, this is our whole group hates me online. They can't stand
Really?
my guts. Yeah, they hate me.
Great.
Well, Sneeko and Myron are Muslims, right?
I'm tight with Sneeko. I know Myron that well, but yeah, Sneeko's. I don't know. Myron is. I don't know about.
Can't really speak for any of them.
We can't speak for anyone. God knows what's in his heart. So I don't know if he's
Me and
praying
him can think
privately.
we're Muslim and we're not.
I know publicly.
I
he
could be a
doesn't-
hypocrite.
Yeah, God doesn't have a form. He sent himself as Jesus Christ, and he was born from the Virgin Mary, which makes him a Jew. But God is not human.
So we would say that the creator is God. So if you do not have attributes, if you're not the creator, you're not God. This is what we would say. So we would say God is all knowing. We would say God is all seeing. God is all hearing. God is independent. Nothing can be dependent. God can't be dependent on anything.
New formula, super improved formula.
Jesus was dependent.
He's just a prophet. He
was born
to
to
be
a woman.
These Muslims are like, we don't believe a Jew is God. Just a Jew is our top prophet, though, right? But he's not a Jew anymore. He's a Christian. He's not a Jew. He's a Muslim now. They both do the same cope.
He had to be raised as a baby. He was relying on gravity. He couldn't go to 3 nights without sleep. He had to get a good night's rest. There's all these different aspects when we look at Jesus where we just say he's not the almighty creator, but that doesn't mean we don't love him. That's the only difference. So it's nothing to insult you guys, and I hope it doesn't come off that way.
It does. No. Okay, it does. Not to him, the audience. They're going to leave comments, you're this, you're that. They're going to come after us, bro. Thanks.
Oh, to the white boomers? Oh, man.
You're going to get us kirked.
They haven't.
The white boomers.
What are you going to do,
There
man?
used
Like,
to
at
be,
the end of the
the
day-
word used to be murked. The new word is kirked.
Yeah.
When you speak your opinion, you get taken out for it.
But to me, it's very simple, bro. God has certain
Good one,
definitions:
bro.
all knowing, all seeing, all hearing.
We got it.
If something doesn't fit one of those definitions, it therefore lacks to be God. And I don't believe that you can see God in the flesh. Even the Bible says it.
Exodus chapter 3, when Moses asked God, that because Moses spoke that
Dude, God does manifest as somebody that they can see in the Old Testament.
through the burning bush. I want to see you, he tells God. God said, for no one can see the face of God and live.
Okay.
Isn't it also interesting how the Muslim is able to just so clearly basically deconstruct the Trinity, because that's what Islam spun out of, basically, was anti-Trinitarian Christians moving into the region of Arabia, northern Arabia. That's kind of like what formed. That's how Christianity formed. Was out of like a sect that was specifically anti-Trinitarian. That's like the whole polemic in the Quran that's against paganism and idolatry is not against actual paganism like we would know it. It's actually against the Trinity ideology or the Trinitarian concept, and it's against them because of. They were basically like strict monotheistic Christians, essentially, who didn't believe, obviously, that Jesus was part of a Trinity, but they were still like Jesus followers. That's like that's what bore out Islam.
Okay.
You could see that how they argue.
Look at how I said God does appear as a man in the Old Testament. That Muslim just said he didn't. All over. Genesis 18, Yahweh appears as a man. The Lord appeared to Abraham. He looked up and saw 3 men standing. Genesis 32, Jacob wrestled with him. Exodus 24, they saw the God of Israel, and they beheld God and ate and drank. Exodus 33, the Lord used to speak to Moses face to face as one speaks to a friend. Judges, we have seen God. Ezekiel on the throne was a figure like that of a man. That's probably talking about the Son of Man, though, in Ezekiel there. Okay, anyway. So again, these guys get stuff wrong all the time. All right. Let's do the latest Mizrachi trashing Christians. How stupid are these Goyim? And then we'll wrap it, I think. Look at this. We have so many tabs. I'll be back tomorrow to cover the rest. Maybe we'll skip. Maybe let's do the Chabad attack, actually, first, before that's out of the news.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That'll be old news tomorrow. So let's see. Car rams repeatedly into one of the entrances of 770 Chabad Lubavitch World Headquarters in New York. They arrest the dude.
Yo, everyone move! Move! What's he doing?
Dude, through the front door.
What is he doing?
Dude, over and over again. That's a strong door. Dude, he's like Sam's going Samson mode.
Yo!
I thought they have security. Where's the security to pop this guy? You'd think they'd be shooting him.
What's wrong with the guy? Someone. Yo, you're gonna get killed. We're gonna kill you. Whoa. Move out.
Oh, he got out of the car. Dude, they're all just standing around watching. You think they'd be running, like he's gonna come out and start shooting.
Officer, hey, officer! Yeah, that's him! Stop him!
Oh, dude, he's crazy. He's just standing there now.
What? He's saying it slipped? Like, I don't understand. So
oh, he's pretending like it was an accident and he slid in there and couldn't get out?
What a ridiculous idea.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Definitely should have thought that one out more.
Dude, looks like apostate prophet.
Have the call.
He's an animal.
Nice pants. Run in jail.
Nice pants. Rot in jail. Look, they have the Moshiach flags up here. All right. So it turns out a statement has been put out. Oh, he's got little jorts on. Look at his little pant shorts with his boots. That's so funny. Look at this from TikTok. This is like the Chabad TikTok account. The individual who rammed his car arrived at the yeshiva in New Jersey the day before, claiming he wanted to convert to Judaism. He wanted to become Jewish and they wouldn't let him, so he tried to ram his way in through the door apparently. So clearly mentally ill. He was not taken seriously. They said, no, you can't read Kabbalah. You can't be Jewish. No converts here. Go be a Noahide. They gave him the Noahide pamphlet, and then he's like, that's not good enough, and he came back. But the response prompted he was upset he was not taken seriously that he wanted to convert, so prompted his deranged rampage at the headquarters.
And
the footage below,
rallying on this, by the way.
he was there dancing with them earlier. In the footage below, you can see the same individual dancing inside the headquarters just a few weeks ago. Dude, they're like, it's a terrorist attack. Jews are under attack, and this is the dude.
Greenblatt just tweeted about it.
They're like, Jews are not safe. That's crazy. Dude, they gave him his kip. He's so happy. He's got his beard. He looks like he fits right in. Wow. That is
They must
so
have figured
funny.
out he was crazy and told him like, "No, we don't need that. Sorry, get out of here."
Yeah,
I just posted it in the chat.
Yeah.
Greenblatt just tweeted an hour ago. They're running the victory lap. Oh, look at us. We're so whatever.
They're not safe. They need more security.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Attacks
that
like this just
this
help
is
them.
what it
It's
is.
just crazy.
25. Thank you, Watcher.
You guys are my heroes.
Thank you.
you for all the compilations. See through it all. Legends.
Yeah, this is Need More Amalek though, not See Through It All. It's okay. I get them mixed up too. If you did there, they're like, oh, he told us he was Jewish. We looked him up. We took his DNA. He was not Jewish, and we wouldn't let him in. Then let him in. They don't take converts. He wasn't an anti-Semite, but Semite obsessed.
Oh, he was extreme philo-Semitism, so sort of like the Noahide attacks, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a disgruntled Noahide. There's another angle. Let's see. I want to see what Mandami said. Oh, Rabbi Shmuley shared this. I thought this was real at first. Just kidding. It's AI. Watch the AI. You can't park your car here. Hold on.
Alzrakul sent $5. Apparently one of my sister's Jewish friends converted to Christ when she got married, and my Catholic mom was upset, saying she doesn't know anything about Christianity. Lol, Catholicism came from Judaism. So few CJing stupid.
When has not knowing anything about the Bible stopped anybody from converting to Christianity? You think the average baptism convert knows anything? They don't.
Is anyone hurt? Hey, is parking here free? Are you kidding me? What? You just drove to the...
Yeah, you can't park your car here, goy. Here's Mom Dami. Let's hear what he says. And I'll look up the Greenblatt tweet.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am relieved that no one was injured in this horrifying incident. This is deeply alarming, especially given the deep meaning and the history of the institution to so many in New York and around the world. And on today of all days, the yard site of Rabbi Schneerson and the leadership of Menachem Mendel Schneerson, any threat to a Jewish institution or place of worship must be taken seriously. Anti-Semitism has no place in our city, and violence or intimidation against...
Dude, you can't call this an anti-Semitic attack. Hold on. He's the mayor. They arrested him. I'm sure they interrogated him. I'm sure they know that he was already there and wanted to convert. And you're going to say this is an anti-Semitic attack? This is not a hating Jews attack. This is a crazy person. You got to be crazy to want to convert to Chabad. Or maybe not. I don't know if you want to be on the winning team. Maybe one day. Never rule it out. But that's jokes. That's jokes. But you also have to be crazy to ram your car into the door.
Workers is unacceptable. I stand in solidarity with the Crown Heights Jewish community, and I'm grateful to our first responders for taking swift action. I will keep New Yorkers updated as we learn more about this incident. And now I'm going to pass it over to our Attorney General, Tish James.
Oh, there's the peak anti-Semite everybody was warning about.
Oh yeah,
revering the
like
Rebbe.
he's new Hitler. Yeah.
Yeah, the next Hitler mayor of the jihadi mayor of New York, honoring the Rebbe. Here's Greenblatt for the photo op in front of the knockdown door with a few of these rabbis. Let's check out these rabbis.
They're just using it right away. They don't miss a chance.
$5. So not only is the Indian dumb enough to believe in socialism, but he was dumb enough to fall for a psyop targeting Arabs. Such morons that run our world. If you believe in Abrahamism, that's an immediate disqualification. No place in that mayor's seat.
Who are we talking about? Oh, the mayor. The Indian mayor. That's who you're saying. Is he Indian? I thought he was Muslim. Guess he is Indian. What did Greenblatt say here? A man intentionally rammed a car into the building, which is not only a synagogue, but the spiritual home of Chabad. Less than 24 years later, the community is already rebuilding and working to repair the damage. That right there is Jewish resilience. Resilience, okay. He doesn't call it an anti-Semitic attack.
No, I'm sure he will.
No, he'll just be like, it's some nutcase that wanted to join. Let's see. So we got at the Jewish conference, Shilling the Noahide laws. I think we saw that in the intro video too. Putin meeting with Chabad again, Burrell Lazar.
Yep.
That's yesterday.
I got people telling me, "Oh, Chabad doesn't have any power in Russia." You're an idiot if you think that. Okay, dude. Okay.
Let's see.
You got to close it out with this one. I'm going to drop a clip in the chat. You got to see this. I think I might be convinced finally of Jesus. This got me.
Okay.
Right here.
Sounds good. I want to see this 1 minute. God save David Icke says, "Save us from religion, the greatest form of mind control ever invented."
Prophesied years. So, Lord, this morning we pray for President Trump. We pray not for man's wisdom, but we pray for heaven's wisdom. We have fasted and prayed. This house has fasted and prayed many times for him before. But, Lord, we pray in this hour, fill him with the Holy Ghost. We pray, oh God, that you would fill him, Father, with the gifts of the Spirit. We even pray, like was prophesied years ago, that he would be filled with the gift of speaking in tongues. Come on, saints, intercede. We pray that you would fill him with the Holy Ghost. Just stretch your hand.
Thanks, Adam. Your laser focus on this issue for over 10 years now is inspiring.
Is it, or is it redundant and is it the same show every day? Sometimes I wonder. But yeah, it's the most important conspiracy that it's the only thing that matters. It's the biggest lie of all time. Can't stop, won't stop.
We pray.
No, this isn't a spirit. This isn't Paula White, spiritual advisor. Just another one.
For godly wisdom from heaven above, we decree over him and his administration and his staff, Father, that you would bring blueprints from heaven for reformation in America and in the nations, oh God. And Lord, we decree the hedge of protection around him, his family, his staff, and around the White House and around our nation. Let it be secure in Jesus' mighty name.
Notice the speech pattern with the deep breaths. Just me? Okay, we got some fire stuff for tomorrow to do as well, but we're 2.5 hours in. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if this is a better angle of this dude.
Why?
Dude, he's just sad. He just got his feelings hurt that he couldn't become a chosen person. I saw the chat say he's a divine spark of light trying to break the klipa. It's a symbolic. Whoa! Kanye West, Shmuley. I can't handle Shmuley. Oh, how about this? Watch this. Adam Green, controlled opposition. It's Ethan Hawke again. 5 months ago. Check this out. Exposed, dude. It's over. Totally exposed. Ready for this? Same color eyes, same facial expression. Perfect match. Dude, I'm actually Ethan Hawke, the Hollywood actor, guys.
I just came back. What the hell are you watching?
Here are a few shekels to help towards your goal.
Thank you, Stacia. Oh, dude, this is the video. Adam Green, controlled opposition. It's Ethan Hawke again.
Oh, that makes sense.
Dude, they're on to me, dude. Alex Jones, Bill Hicks is and Adam Green is Ethan Hawke. Slash Nathaniel Rothschild. Identical twins. Let's see. Fictional character. Huge player in the game. Me? Fictional character? Dude, I'm real. What are you talking about? Ethan Green? Thank you, Jetsu.
Jutsu sent $10 on Rumble. Shekel for a good goy.
Thank you.
These people are fucking nuts, dude.
Ethan Hawke, you know it's a Christian. You know it's a Christ brand that did this. 5'10", by the way, Ethan Hawke. Yeah, same exact person. Hey, has anybody ever seen me and Ethan Hawke in the same room at the same time? I didn't think so. Yeah. Proof of Mossad? Have you heard the Ethan Hawke connection? Adam Green is not a real person. That's why there are no photos of him online. Dude. They do ones like this saying I'm a female too. I'm a trans. Whoa, dude. European phenotypes can be similar, dude. Who could have thought? Tricked again. You guys all fell for the Ethan Hawke conspiracy. Whoa. That looks way different.
I was gonna say it looks so different.
Yeah. Doesn't even look like me at all. Oh, let's see this one now.
Oh,
another one.
Real into it.
Oh, you thought we were done. Same beard, same everything. Don't be blind. Dude, it's not even close. Look at the hairline difference.
Doesn't look anything. Doesn't look anything the same.
Yeah. Adam looks more like Will Ferrell with Mugatu. Yeah, thank you. Dude. Yeah, bro. I couldn't believe I saw this. I haven't even watched the full thing yet.
It's so ridiculous. Between this and the video I sent you before I disconnected, I'm going leaning towards Jesus being real at this point.
Oh yeah, let me find that.
I mean, if you're doing Freemason,
where'd you send it? Can you divide and conquer?
Hell yeah, dude. I'll post it in the chat.
Same nose, same mouth, same ears, same beard. This can't be real. Truth shoots. Is this really real? No way that's real. Beyond parody. No, I think they're serious.
None of their world is real. It's all made up in their head. So it just it makes sense that this stuff happens.
Adam Hawke. So fucking funny, man. All right, here. This is the Shabos crap. 4,000 likes from Infowars. This was so big even Infowars fans still shared Owen. Let's see here.
All right, I'm out. So when I see 1 million dead Russian soldiers, that is a total American victory. The idea that Ukraine is going to lose the war, well...
No, you're disgusting. You celebrate dead people? That's just gross. That's why you liked abortion. It's just gross. That's just detestable.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I'm thrilled when I see dead... Okay, relax, buddy. I'm thrilled when I see dead Russian soldiers who invaded a sovereign country. I'm thrilled when I see dead Chinese Communist Party officials. I'm thrilled when I see dead Nazis. I'm thrilled when I see dead Islamists, because I, just like every single conservative, just like every single founding father...
About that, he'll see you dead and he'll call you any one of those things and he'll be thrilled that you're dead. There it is.
Yeah.
It is the Jewish worldview, though. He's not wrong about this. He's still a Jew at heart. Like, this isn't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, my wife is not onto the Ethan Hawke secret identity. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I'm happy to have like a normal conversation, but if you're going to interrupt like a retard, then there's no point in having a debate, and I would encourage you to log off. I recognize the same thing that our founding fathers recognized. I recognize the same thing that every single conservative and Republican president has recognized, which is there's evil in this world, and there's only one way to deal with evil, and that is with the eradication of evil. So if you're an Islamist who flies planes in the Twin Towers, the only response to that is murder, is killing them so they cannot kill you.
9/11 narrative? Do you believe the official 9/11 narrative?
Adam, can we mute?
No, dude, he thinks Mossad did it. What do you think he's gonna say?
Yeah, why would you open that up? Why would you?
Yeah,
that's so. Dude, these guys that argue with Jews always take it to the least defensible, hardest to argue positions for no reason.
Yeah.
Why? Just say clean break report. Just say Bibi
told us that the Middle East would all be a flowing democracy if we just overthrew every country in the Middle East for that.
Adam
okay?
King's like, is this really happening?
You don't need to accuse. You don't need to do the 9/11 thing. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. You can
All
just
right,
it just doesn't help the situation.
Okay.
Oh wow. Hold on, that's loud.
So he just rage left.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was pissed at Owen the whole time. He started off like trying to get him to apologize because he says Owen took him out of context and got like on a viral clip. He took him out of context.
It was
and
the
he
Amalek
got all
clip
these death threats. No,
Yeah,
it wasn't the Amalek one. It was him talking about locking up anti-Semites.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But part of the context of that was that they were that's what Owen did is he basically like took those two ideas and combined them together, basically saying that, oh look, he's calling everyone who's anti-Semitic Amalek and that he wants to throw them in jail and all this other stuff. When that was like specifically like the line that Katzenbaum was like trying to not cross but get as close to it as he could in that speech.
Yep. All right, I got to go get some lunch. It's been a long one. Thank you.
Play that video.
Oh,
Play that
where
video.
is it?
I put it in the chat. It's in the chat. It's in the chat. You got to.
Okay, hold on.
This might convince you, Adam. You might finally be convinced that Jesus is real.
Rosary quotes. Okay, hold on.
This has got it. This is it. This is it for me.
Can I read the title? The video circulating
you gotta read
online.
the title first. Yeah.
A luminous figure appears briefly during the Epiphany services at the Chapel of the Ascension on the Mount of Olives on January 19th. The moment can be seen around the 17-second mark. Let's see. 5,000 likes. Okay, let's see. Oh my God, I saw it.
You gotta go on. You gotta
I'm
see
convinced.
it. It's Jesus.
Jesus walks by right here in the background. Right. The Bene Gesserit, right behind the Bene Gesserit. Oh, there it is. Oh, glowing. That's just a glowing Fed. 5,000 likes for that?
5,000. Yeah. How crazy. These people are superstitious retards.
They'll be like, you atheists don't believe in miracles? Well, one just happened.
They're literally peasants. They're medieval peasants, dude. That's it. That's the whole video. 5,000
Wow.
likes.
Wow, dude. That was
How
legit.
crazy is this? They're amazed by the concept of light.
Bro, this makes us look crazy. The lady on the left feels it and looks back.
Oh, no way. Local wigger transcends into some kind of ethereal light being. There he is.
I can't believe that video. It shows you how stupid Christians are when that video gets 5,000 likes.
Oh my God. If I was a Christian, I would be ashamed of that video. I would be like, okay, get the hell away from me, you freaks.
Oh, we gotta look at the retweets. Catholic striving. They always have these type of
I will say, like,
miracles.
That's pretty much
interesting.
What the shroud is. It's pretty much what the Shroud of Turin is, right? It's like a version of this.
I need the light to transform me like that. I bet you do. Angel just walked past. These can't be real people, dude. Lex Luthor, 500. These are all just bots, right? This is all just botting of Christian mental illness. Look, this guy has me blocked. This happens all the time, guys. See how I'm blocked out here?
Me too.
David Smuts. David Smuts, some nobody I've never heard of, has me blocked. And they all mass block me, and it dings me on the algorithm, so I get suppressed.
There's so many times where I'll like click a tweet and I'll look at the replies, and I'm blocked by half the people in the replies. Absolutely. I never interacted with any of them. Just random Christian accounts. Just blocking.
So then Twitter thinks, oh, I must be a dick. I'm blocked by all these people. Never had an interaction with this guy. No idea who it is. And they all mass block. Oh, there's you. Well, I'm sold. That's good. Papa Bills. Wow, dude, he's fucking amazed. Sports Bro is fucking amazed. Go Bills, Catholic. Checks out. Okay.
This is our whole. This is like okay. Like honestly, this is like 60% of our population. Do you guys understand how crazy this is?
Yeah. El Spirito Sancto Amen. Genevieve Dawkins. She's impressed. Proof that God is real. These people can't be real.
And like, we know what else is interesting about this is somehow like Jews aren't like this, but they are. Like the way they're like this is in weird mystical ways, but they don't ever do this thing where they, oh, we saw a light in real life in the video. Like they don't do it like this retarded Christian version.
This one follows me. Look, Yugo Kana says Jesus walks among us.
Hell yeah.
That can't be real. Eternal divinity. This looks like a bot account. 8,000 followers. 8,000 following, 7,000 followers.
Hey, in the clip of Putin talking with those rabbis, he says the rabbi says, Putin, we see the rise of anti-Semitism worldwide, but nothing like this in Russia. Thanks to your defense, and they thank him for religious harmony. And
They
Putin
always
says
say
unity
that.
of faith and people is Russia's strength. So diversity is our strength. Russia is meeting with rabbis. Yeah.
Yeah, they say that a lot about how good Putin is to Jews. And then the LARPers, the third worldist Duganists in the West are like, oh, dude, they're so anti. The Russian Orthodox Church, they're not kosher. Putin, he's fighting the globalist cabal. Like, they'll say that shit.
He ejected the Jewish oligarchs in the 90s. Don't
dude,
you know anything about Russia?
Putin just compared him to Jesus flipping the money tables. Okay.
All right, you got to go. That was a good one.
Yep. Thanks for joining. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thanks for having me again. It was a good time.
Yep. And I'll be back tomorrow. Leave a comment below. Give it a like. Give it a share. Give it a clip. Sign up for Subscribe Star. If you want to support. And remember, stereotyping is terrible. And here's my outro song. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow.